Welcome to Mallow. It's the Irish Forest Championship with Val Volin, and joining me here are Ray Fitzpatrick, who is the chairman of the championship, and David Moynihan, an associate sponsor. But David, you're so much more than that as well. You've been a driver, you've been a navigator, and you're very much involved now. Ray, we'll start with you. This is an incredible event. It has been for a good few years. It's exciting this weekend in a sense that the actual event here in Mallow is quite close in regards to who's leading, and we'll get to that in a while. But also the championship itself is exciting in a sense that it is very close. But look, talk to me first about the weekend that has been so far and the actual event itself.
I suppose from a rally perspective, it's been a fantastic weekend. We approached Cork Motor Club earlier on this year to see if they could facilitate us with running an additional round of the championship. Everybody put their heads together and we put 2 days together, 2 rounds of the championship. Cork would have traditionally ran a 2-day event in Mallow, and because of the downturn, things had quietened down. There was no want for it. We felt the time was right to try and bring it back now, and it's brought 2 fantastic days of battle all weekend throughout all the classes and all the categories. It's been just amazing stuff, really.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Still battles are going on out there, and everybody's waiting for winners to be decided and classes to be decided, so it's what more could you want?
Yeah, we will get to the cars because that's what we all want to see in a few minutes. But David, we mentioned it there that this has a great tradition, but it's kind of re-establishing itself, I suppose, maybe from this weekend and bouncing on from here.
Yeah, for sure. Cork Force is always the big event of the year, being the only 2-day event in the country on gravel. There's many tarmac rallies on 2 day, or even Donegal being 3 days, but Cork was always the traditional event, being a 2-day event, and it always brought the big hitters all came to play in Cork. Then, like Ray said, the downturn, it dropped back to 1 day to lessen the expense and so on and so forth. And then this man here and his committee kind of, how'd you say, initiated the idea, but Cork took it on themselves, and brought a fantastic event. And everyone is here, I think, everyone has commended them for what they've done and what they put together. And yes, it was fantastic. And as we've all seen, the battles have been so close. Usually it's seconds or multiple seconds or within 10 seconds on a stage of a difference. Here it's in points of seconds that have been the deciding factors on the results. So, and that's not just at the overall, at the front with the top 3, but to the classes and the juniors. I think they're gone out there for the last couple of stages with 2 seconds between the top 2. So it's fantastic.
And it's sod's law, isn't it? I mean, it was very still and calm all day, and as soon as we come on air, the wind starts. Ray, talk to me about the conditions out there. The drivers seem to be loving it. They seem to love the actual stage. They seem to love everything about this event.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the weather doesn't affect the forest rallies too much. The similar pattern tyres work for nearly all the conditions unless you have complete wet downpour, which thankfully we haven't had. The weather has held reasonably good. We've had some dampness over the weekend, but the pace out there and the camaraderie through the championship has really made the weekend so brilliant. Like, it's not just me, it's not just David, there's all the people involved in the championship committee. The club have put in a lot of work to make this event happen, but the competitors are having an absolute ball out there, and the battles, like, everybody throughout the event, they would do everything to take a second off each other on the stage, but they'll do anything to help each other at the end of it. And there's been more accounts, and David will testify, of people that have helped each other over the weekend. It's a brilliant spirit to the sport, and it's what we love about forest rallying.
Yeah, I saw Subaru giving another Subaru a bit of a tow earlier on. It kind of goes to show how close everyone is. Maybe you can see behind me how big in scale this actually is, and that's just a snapshot of it. We will get out onto the track in a few minutes, and we will show you exactly like why we're so excited about this. David, you've been out there as a navigator. What's it like when you're sitting in the front of that car and you're flying around Mallow? Safely, I might add, it's stewarded very, very well.
What I always say is I won't be to watch a rally, it's from the inside of the windscreen looking out, so not altogether true. It's still very exciting to watch for spectators, but here it's like races, great camaraderie. It's not just it's a weekend rather than just yes. Here it's 12-stage event, but you have the whole weekend from the camaraderie in service, and they all get on, they chat. You land at the start of a stage. Usually you're there early, so they all gather and they discuss things. And there's no bitterness between anybody, I'd say, especially in this championship. It's very, very friendly or localised, if you know. This community you see here in Cork this weekend, well, the service park will probably be replicated again in Fermanagh in 3 or 4 weeks' time for the Lakelands, and we were together again, a couple months ago in Ballyvourney. The same people travel, so it's a fantastic championship. But the level of forest rallying has come from strength to strength. We never had, I think there's 8 or 9 or 5 cars here, and the pinnacle championship in tarmac rallying in Ireland would struggle to accumulate that number of cars in the entry list. And to say the championship, at the forest championship, has risen to those strengths, it's a credit to this man, and not just Ray, but his team and his sponsors behind him and so on and so forth, that have put it together, and the events and the clubs that run the events to put events of calibre and quality forward that the competitors keep coming back to compete on.
And that's a really interesting point that you've raised there. Why are people moving more to forest than tarmac, and maybe making the jump?
Well, first of all, it's more friendly to a competitor time wise. On a tarmac event, you have a reconnaissance, so you've days prior to the event where you traverse the route, you do your recce, you make your pace notes, and then you go and you take on the stages over 1 or 2 days. On the forest event, there is no reconnaissance. Everyone's supplied with a set of organisers' pace notes done through 2 different companies, and then you have a DVD for safety, so you can watch through to know what to expect, or the width or the narrowness of the road, or the level of grip the surface is going to offer, or what you think it'll offer. And I think that's a big aspect towards is that it's so competitor friendly that you could arrive here either on Friday evening for the scrutineering before the event, or you could arrive Saturday morning and scrutineer your car for the event, participate Saturday, Sunday, and we'll be finished up here within the next hour and a half, 2 hours, and everyone's home for their work on Monday morning. So you're bringing what is a 2-day event, which is the normal, a big size event, into 2 days or 2.5 days, as opposed to 5 or 6 days on a tarmac event. And then with saying that, we always had a reputation, unfortunately, partially because of the weather and partially, I suppose before the windmill roads started coming, it improved the level of the roads. Definitely the work in the forest has given us better scope for opportunity what roads they can use, and it's left it a much more inviting championship to competitors of all classic cars. It's easier on cars than it was 10-15 years ago, so it's easier to maintain the cars, even though you're driving on forest roads as opposed to tarmac roads, which in most cases would be easier in the car. The forests now have risen in their quality in Ireland, to the point where I'd say we're now very close to what used to be the pinnacle was Welsh Forest. We're now not far away ourselves in what we have to offer in Ireland.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it down to your work, Ray, and the work of the people around you, those innovations that you've put in place. Talk to us about some of those innovations that you've put in place in the last couple of years.
We've tried different things. We've tried to get the promotion level of the championship up. Obviously, it's working because we're finding ourselves in a situation now where we have a lot of competitors travelling from the US and over from the UK, and we've preparation companies coming from Scotland to come to bring cars to the events for people. So we're doing something right. Like I said, there's a lot of us work very hard on the promotion, and without the likes of David, the sponsors, and Valvoline and people like that, and Mick O'Brien Planter, we wouldn't have the resources to do what we do. And Motorsport Ireland and Wheelchair are all a very big part of that as well. And everybody pulled us together to the one goal of having a good, safe championship and good results for everybody all around, and everybody goes home and enjoys their weekend.
To quote, as we're in Cork, I think it's appropriate to quote a great Corkman, Bill O'Hurley. He explained it to me like I'm a child. Explained it to people who maybe haven't followed rallying or forest rallying that closely, and maybe they're having a first look at it this weekend. Is one of the main differences that you don't have to worry about too many changes of tyres, as David has been saying, that you do get briefed an awful lot. You know exactly what you're getting. It's kind of family friendly. It's friendly to getting you back home, and all that goes into the mix, and that's what kind of makes it what it is.
Well, when you hit onto the family friendly side, I mean, we've got people here from 15 years of age competing today and yesterday on the rally, up to, we won't go into the upper end of the ages, but it works for everybody. Like I said, we've got a category for 1 litre cars, it's Junior 1000, and people, guys and girls from 15 years of age can actually come and compete on the rally and learn their basic driving skills at that age in a controlled type of car, and proper safety measures and everything taken. So we really are expanding the network and the framework that we have, and it's working for everybody. And the format works, as David said, the time frame of it. You're not running 4 different options of tyres. You're running 90% of the time you have one option of tyres, and they work for nearly all the conditions. And that's so in that sense, you're not having the same outlay. The format that's involved, you do your recce, you can do it on the way down the road if somebody's driving on a DVD player, or if you're travelling somewhere, you can look at it, or you can do it on a night at home. You don't have to get 2 people pulled together to go and drive a road to make notes on it. So that concept.
Some people might even do a recce. You've a lot. It's not.
They like to work on instinct. They kind of works for them.
If you're used to forest rallying, you have 2 providers, be it Killian Duffy or Patterson Pace Notes, 2 very professional companies at what they do.
Yep.
And when you get used to their system of pace noting, you know it, you trust it. So to a point, you don't need to do the reconnaissance. Yes, the lads at the pinnacle level will always go and try and find a bit here and a bit there where they can exploit it to the maximum. But at your club level, a lot of lads don't have to do reconnaissance of the stages.
You can get good enough description on the notes,
correct,
and actually drive confidently on what they're giving you, and that it all lends itself to a championship that's manageable to do, and the costs are pretty good on it. And like I said, the tyres, you're not having to run 3 sets of tyres as an option for different weather conditions. Everything works well. the promotion is there. So anybody that has their sponsors, we try and get them as much coverage as possible, and we try and look after everybody and give everybody the same attention throughout it. And I think it pays off.
Now, you mentioned there that all sorts of competitors are involved, from 15 up to the upper echelons. We won't say what age
Cork
exactly.
and Waterford and Tipperary in
Exactly,
the mix as well.
Exactly. We even have a Cork man who's from Mallow but lives in Fermanagh. We've got a bit of everything. And a Tipperary man who lives in Laois and a Waterford man who lives in Dublin. We've got a mix of everything. But some of the innovations you've mentioned there, talk to me about the seeding and how you kind of class people into various races and categories so they can have a good weekend, because as much as they want to enjoy it, they also want to be competitive.
Well, the seeding, like the car type, comes down to what the car is, and you're grouped in your bunches, but the seeding is on perceived performance. So for people that have done previous events this year, or that you would have known form, you can actually work them and you can look into previous results and see, okay, he was faster than him that day and he was slower than him. So you kind of put those three people together and work your way through it. There's a lot of work in it, and it's not a perfect thing. Somebody can have a bad day and you can just happen to see those times. But generally, each car runs through the forest stages on minute gaps. So you're starting the stage a minute after the car in front of you. So the chance of actually catching the car, if he doesn't have any problem, is less, I suppose, than for shorter starting distances. It tends to work fairly well. I don't think
very rarely an issue where you come to circuit racing, it's very important for your seating, because they have their qualifying, so on and so forth. In rallying, especially in the forest, like Ray said, with a minute gap, unless the car in front has a problem, be it a puncture or he's had an accident, not an accident, but an off-road excursion, say, and it's delayed him, chances are they won't be caught, because it's still although like Ray said, we have overseas competitors, but they're still seasoned overseas competitors. They're coming back, like Barry McKenna's here from the States and it's his fourth or
It comes over and back from New York. I mean, that's real commitment, isn't it?
His car is coming from Scotland and he's coming from New York, and it just all happens here.
They meet in the middle in Ireland.
It's great that, I mean, we've drawn the attention of the people. I mean, there's a good few people. You've got Gary Dunno who are coming from the States as well.
Enda McCormack.
As well. You've got guys coming over from the UK. You've got, on the Junior 1000 category, we've got Peter Beaton from Scotland, who's come here all year to do that category, which is the starter category for the 1 litre cars. Like, the people are coming, they're liking what they see, they're liking how they get treated and what they're getting for their investment. So it's nice that they keep coming, and we're obviously, the battles that have been here all weekend, as with any round this year, has just been immense. Like, the yesterday's pace was absolutely
fantastic, yeah. And it's a credit to you look at a lot of rallies or a lot of championships, and you'd have a pinnacle battle at the front of the field and maybe a pinnacle battle in the modified scene. But here you have the front of the field, the modifieds, the juniors, the junior 1000s. There's 4 or 5 different categories where they're all in battles, and they're all going to the last loop. There's seconds dividing them, and championships at stake and overall results at stake. So here it is. It is a fantastic championship, and all it's doing is growing. If there's as many tarmac events this year, which is still seen by many as the upper level or the more senior level of Irish rallying, and would struggle to accumulate the number of entries they've accumulated this event.
Like this event, I mean, it shows. I mean, we had 44 wheel drive entries and 45 two-wheel drive entries started the rally, or somewhere in that region of numbers. Like, it's fantastic balance. Like, and as David said, every class has its battles, and what that does as well for the class is that everybody in that class is having to push harder every day to try and get a bit more on the guy that they're battling with every day. And you'll find that over time people start increasing their pace a little bit, and maybe they move up or maybe they stay in the same category of car, but it all just lends to better competition every day. And the sporting side of it is very good. Like I said, the support is there for each other, the willingness to help each other is fantastic, and it's a lovely feeling. You've got 90% of the same people here today that will be in, as David said, Enniskillen in a couple of weeks' time, that were in Ballyvorney a couple of weeks back. The core is there, and everybody knows everybody, and they're familiar with everybody, and they know what they're at with each other. So it's a nice, comfortable feeling, and it's a family feeling.
And like Ray says, it's not just a battle at the very front of the field. If you're someone new coming into the sport, no matter what class or category, there's different levels of competitors right the way through. So entering the sport, you don't have to look at it as though it's a class I can't compete in, because they've all got the experience of me. When you enter the class, you're not just coming in and you're the beginner and they're all professional level. You're not professional. You're at that level of scale. There's different levels throughout. So even though you might be less experienced or with less speed or less car specification, there's still competition for you within the class. To gauge against.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at some of the cars, because that's what we're all here to see. We've seen some cars passing in the background, but the cars we actually want to see have been out on the course all weekend. And let's have a look at some of the action from stage 7. These are the junior 1000s, the 2-wheel drives. Gentlemen, talk me through this raid. This is a nice little stretch of the course out here in Mallow at the Irish Forest Championship.
And this is Rory Byrne from Newry, and I think it's Rory, or is it Jason? That was Rory Byrne from Newry in the
Here's
1
Aoife.
litre car. Aoife Gahan here in her Kia.
There's a young girl from Cashel.
Cashel.
Her daddy was a
Chevrolet, sorry, yeah.
preparation expert. He looks after Josh Moffat's car, and Sam Moffat's very experienced.
And it's nice for these smaller cars not to have to be navigating through where it has been ploughed up by maybe the more powerful cars.
We run the reverse seating system for the 2-wheel drive cars, and it gives them a better advantage on the fact that the second running of the stage, they're only running behind the 4-wheel drive field once. This is Peter Beaton here of Scotland. Peter actually won the round last night of his pace during the day, and this is Aaron Whelan here, he's a local guy.
A newcomer to the class.
15 out in his first proper rally, facing into 2 days of rallying and having an absolute ball the whole way through it.
And it's great to have people from all over the world, but it's especially special, David, and you're a local, so I'll put this to you, to have locals competing.
Oh, it's fantastic, for the likes of Aaron there at 15 years of age, to be able to go back into school in a couple of weeks' time and say he did the Cork Forest Rally, his first event at 15 years old, and he competed in the same event as the R5 cars from start to finish. And like Ray says, it's great for these competitors that they're getting the best of the road condition on both passes, and they, as well as that, when it comes to the finish podium, they all get their attention, they all get their podium celebrations as much as the winners of the overall event do.
One thing I'm noticing, some of those cars are quite jittery. Why is that? What's that down to? Is that down to suspension? Is that down to the road? What's it down to?
It's a very undulating road for a start, because you're in the forest, obviously. So, but all these cars have uprated suspension, and some obviously are more finely tuned than others. And the better the car, the better spec of suspension you can have or have available to you.
That's a nice controlled kind of rhythmic drive there.
Yeah, there's Adrian Beattie here, he's on the Civic, and it's a great mixture. But we try and as David said, we try and treat everybody as fairly as possible. We give our 2-wheel drive, our 4-wheel drive, our juniors and our junior 1000s the same notoriety for their achievements throughout the event, and it pays back.
You see now as the pace increases up to the other cars, you'll start to see that you don't really see the bumps as much, because the bigger the cars, the more they'll absorb the bumps as it is.
Early in the day, maybe they're not pushing as hard or leaving something for later.
I don't think there's
they're
too
in
many.
day two.
There's
They're
not
in
too
day
much
two,
holding
so
back.
some are playing catch up, and when it's a second round of the championship, they've all to play for again today. So I'd say it's a big push on from the word go.
I should rephrase the point I was trying to make there. Maybe with all the notes and everything, they are used to the track or the course, but you have to drive it a few times, and then in the later stages, then you really put the hammer down.
It depends. I suppose some people, they know where they are starting. They're all starting level this morning. Yesterday, people finished. Okay, the overall rally runs into over the 2 days, but the actual championship, because we're running 2 separate rounds, the finish yesterday evening was the end of section 1, and they're restarting with a clean slate this morning. So any problems they had, any penalties they have been scrubbed from the championship point of view for this morning, and they're starting. And so they're trying to regain. If they had a troublesome day yesterday, they might be settling themselves in on the first stage and picking the pace up over the day and see what everybody else is doing in the class. But generally, the push is on, and that's it.
Some competitors here might have contested these roads in part or in full on last year's event or the year previous. So they'll know that this section of bumpy road, that you can take full throttle down through it, or it's flat the whole way down it. Then other lads who haven't done the whole thing will have done it before, would have less experience of it, would become a bit more controlled, and they might mark it on the first pass that it is okay or it is flat to keep down this bit of road, and then the next pass through they'll carry more speed down it.
Really nice control shown by those Mark II escorts, which I think when we think of rallying, we think of those cars. They're just works of art, aren't they?
I think we've all cut our teeth in Mark II somewhere along the way. No, I remember
right.
I remember Robin Bammy's road car going down the road years ago, but borrowing it, I would say. But that was where we would have always been associated with rallying at home. Tipperary is my home club, and Stone Tours Rally would have been my home event, and Mitchelstown Forestry, as it would have been called, would have been.
You're into the thick level now of the junior class here. I was and young Mackerel passed there, and that's James Wilson, the Peugeot. So you're into the thick end of the juniors.
Another Mark II. We
saw
saw
not so junior here, Mickey Conlon and Kieran McPhillips.
Another Mark II. We saw a course out there as well. Another classic.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Derek Mackerel. Yeah, he's
the boy.
Jordan Hone here.
He's the hero this weekend, I think. To be honest, he's not just won the juniors yesterday, but he's taken the battle to 2-wheel drives outright.
He was second 2-wheel drive yesterday, wasn't he?
There's your winner from
Tell
yesterday.
me how big an achievement that is and why, as the Batmobile goes flying by.
That's Andrew who won around yesterday. It's a 1600 car front wheel drive, and he's taken the battle to 2 litre and 2.5 Mark II escorts. He's way underpowered. Yes, he probably has more or equal technology and suspension, but he's a younger lad coming through the sport. Came last year in a Group N car, made the switch this year to a front-wheel drive R2 car and made it left-hand drive. So it's a lot of changes.
And that just goes to show as well. I mean, you can have all the technology in the world, but ultimately it comes down to, can you drive a car?
It's very much, and this is where you've got the different, like you've got R2 cars.
Oh, there's a bit of trouble.
Adrian Hetherington in trouble there. Looks like a turbo problem, I think.
That's right.
Where you've got similar cars in your R2 class or your R5 class, where they're all at the same level. The talent shows out and the skill shows out. It takes the.
Is that about the worst thing to happen, David, when you're out on the course and that happens?
Definitely
not. No, the worst thing is when you can't get out of it, when you're when there's no doors or glass, or it's an accident.
One of the worst things. Then.
That's right. And mechanical failure, obviously, at this point of the day, is hard for Adrian to take. When he was strong yesterday, he's trying to build his speed more again today, but definitely mechanical failure easier to take than an error by the crew that caused an accident.
There we go. All the precautions being taken. That's very good to see.
Yeah, they show an OK board into the following competitors that they know it's safe, and they'll probably give him a hand gesture to let them know where the car is. So you see him there waving the car to the left-hand side as he goes past.
Generally, when people are okay, they don't want to hinder the car coming behind. They just want to make it as safe for them to pass as possible.
So you can see Gary on the left-hand side holding the two-sided board. One side is the SOS, which we never want to see, but the other side's an OK board. So he's telling the crews that the crew are okay and that it's safe to pass.
I guess that minute interval in the forest makes it easier for the safety crew to get out and get the warning there.
It gives you time to get out of the car and actually get back to a safe point or get around the corner. If it's a corner that you had a problem on, at least they know that they have to slow before the corner. It gives everybody a chance.
These are your front-running Group N cars. I see like standard production cars with some upgrades to it's the Mitsubishi Evolution. So there'll be a standard road car which has been enhanced with safety features and suspension and brake upgrades to make it suitable for the forest. But it would have started its life as a standard production car.
There we go, controlling it well despite a bit of a drag.
Is an older Evolution. Nolan Sweeney from Oma and Tyrone.
Two happy men every time you see him coming in. Himself and Stevie Hanlon just laugh at every time they come in.
Right.
And you just know that they've had a couple of moments, but they've got away with it.
This pace looks frightening, but we're really going to see some speed when we get to the four-wheel drives, I guess.
Well, these are four-wheel drive cars. Mitsubishi's will be four-wheel drive as well. It's just the R5 cars be the quickest one of them.
They just, because they're so technology updated on them, I suppose they don't look like they're actually doing that much, but they're travelling fairly heavy.
This is Pádraig Sheridan from he's from Navan or Meaden, yeah.
Well, when you're out there, they really fly by you.
A newcomer to the forest as well this year, and Pádraig just loves it and can't get enough of it.
John Reid in his Corolla, a similar car to the one that's parked up.
One of the longest serving, I'd say, competitors to the Forest Championship.
Yeah, definitely. When he bought that car 11 years ago, I did this rally with him in it. It's a fantastic experience, it's a fantastic car with lovely memories from Ireland alone, never mind abroad.
That last Corolla, was that an ex-McHale car?
Yes, it was, yes. The same man is still running it, Noel Gilson, that used to run it for McHale's when they had it.
That's right.
It's mesmeric, isn't it? You could watch this all day.
That's right. It's even better from inside to look out.
Yeah, it is. It's an addiction that can't be cured.
And it looked there that there was a slight little bounce, and
there's a bad bump on the entry
corner. But got it back under control. How difficult is that, David?
Well, the car would absorb it quite a lot too. The suspension would absorb that on the landing, so it would. But there's quite a nasty bump in the entry to that corner for sure.
It's another one of our travelling competitors, and Patsy Keena coming over from Atlanta to come and do the championship as well.
The effort that some drivers are going to get here is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is. But it's great that they're willing to make that effort and make that commitment to come and do that. It's a fantastic feeling for us to say that we're coming to your championship.
And then for them coming to like Cork, where they're getting 2 days of action, it kind of further enhances their investment. They've obviously taken a lot of time and a lot of money to fly here and be prepared for it. So when they get 2 days of action, it's better than one, obviously.
It's one trip, and you get a whole lot in one go, and it's twice the fun when it goes right.
So that was the action on the course on stage 7 here in Cork. We're at the Irish Forest Rally Championship, the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship here in Mallow. Changeable conditions, but as Ray was saying earlier on, that doesn't really make too much difference. They're able to handle it, especially on the forest track. It's pretty phenomenal stuff so far. Ray, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to go and set things up for the finish. We're going to talk to you again later in the day. David, you might hang around and talk us through the rest of the action. A lot more action coming up here from Mallow, so stay with us.
Cork City.
Welcome back to Mallow. It's the Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's a really tremendous weekend. 2 days of action here around the course, and a fantastic course it is. One thing that has been very noticeable is all the drivers talking about how much they're actually loving being out there and how much they're loving the course. David Moynihan, we've been speaking to him for the last while. David, a navigator. Also, Liam Brennan, a navigator. Liam, this is an area that you know really, really well. It's an event that you know really, really, really well. I know it's changed over the years, but it's fantastic this weekend, isn't it? It's great.
Absolutely incredible. The stages, thank God for the dry period of weather coming into the event. The stages have been absolutely top class. Every driver I've spoken to, every navigator I've spoken to, they're over the moon. Held up really well. I drove all the stages myself on Saturday. They actually feel like they're in Finland with the quality of the stages. They're absolutely buzzing. It's great credit to the club. They've done a lot of work on the stages in the run up to the event, and all their hard work has shown this weekend. It's been an incredible rally so far. Thank God.
What did you notice about the course? What did you like about it when you took your own drive around?
Well, the thing about it was that it had a bit of everything, right? Yesterday was kind of more technical. There was a lot more jumps yesterday, and it would be like more slower speed stages yesterday with very little chicanes. Today, the stages are far more open, far more high speed, and we saw that coming into play with the overall classification. Far more chicanes today, so a different temperament of stage today, but equally as good, but just different variations of stages. But you can't get this in other Irish forestry rallies, that massive selection and the massive variation in stages, so they've been really spoiled for joy so far.
It sounds like it is ideally set up for drivers, and more importantly, as you two are navigators.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it will test every range of their skill set. You know, there is high speed, low speed, technicality. You know, it's all there, David, isn't it?
There,
you know,
yeah.
it's all
It's
there.
like Liam says, when you put it all together, and you've a like yesterday Liam said, more technical. Well, the drivers of good driving ability will relish a technical stage because they can drive around the power vantage. So they can carry more speed, they can brake later, they can carry more corner speed, and they can make up the difference which you might lack in power or in the specification of a car. Then today, it's a lot more, don't get me wrong, the speeds are higher, so you have to still have your wits about you very much so, but it comes down a lot more to power today on the more open stages, and that's just changing from different forest complexes they've used to. So today I think more windmill roads they're using in part, using part windmill roads and roads leading to or leading from those. And that will give the option of wider roads, higher speeds, where you're carrying more corner speed. But again, you have to have the power to get up to those speeds to make the advantage count. And that's where it's shone through today, I think, especially at the front of the field, where you have Andrew Purcell, who won the round yesterday. Were technical stages, but Andrew's car is just that step behind in the standard of car compared to Barry McKenna or Josh Moffat. And today, when they've got the open ground, they can let the car do the talk a bit more, and not taking it away from Barry or Josh, because yes, there was a tight race right to the very end. Josh had his moment on stage 2. Barry had his stall and his spin on stage 2, and ultimately it finished up Andrew's direction by 1 point something of a second yesterday. So it could have gone anyway. But yesterday, I'd say, was a lot more equal playing probably for the drivers, whereas today the car performance comes in a bit more to play. But again, taking nothing away from Barry and Josh, they have to get their braking points so right, because like Liam said, when you have those chicanes, literally you're approaching chicanes that in most cases on those stages at the maximum speed the car can traverse at, and you have to get your braking point just right so you're not dropping time in your braking, but you're getting the entry speed to the chicane right, because your chicane, for those who haven't seen it, it's like a 3 bale or a 5 bale setup. So basically, that virtually is just a space of the car going from your left entry with a complete 90-degree turn right, 90-degree turn left, and 90-degree turn right to exit again. So you have to get your braking right, but then when you get to the far side of it, you're on your throttle, and the car with the most power will get to the speed quicker.
And I assume if the driver gets it wrong, Liam, it's all down to the navigator. It's their fault.
Completely. Oh, absolutely.
Always.
Every good driver will tell you that. Absolutely. And any good navigator will accept the blame.
But talk to me. I mean, you've talked about the changes in stages and how things are different from yesterday as compared to today for the drivers and the cars. What about the navigators? How does it change for them?
Well, you see, yesterday it would be easier on the navigators, right? Because the how could I say, the stage is more honest. And when I say more honest, it is the more technical. So a 4 right is a 4 right, and a square right is a square right, square left. So it's slightly slower, and the corners are more obvious. Today, high speed, slight corners. So you're could just say 500 to a 1 right, 1 left kink. You're approaching at high speed. You go, is this the right? And so today's higher speed, but it's more difficult for the navigators because the corners are very much less severe. So sometimes, for the lesser experienced guys, they might be gone past that corner already. They're looking for it, but they've gone past it,
So go with heads down a lot too, you see, remember?
Correct.
When you're in the car and you're calling the note, your head is down. So you're doing an awful lot by feel. A navigator, you'll see a lot of the cars here. The navigator sits very low in the car. Like Josh, you're
To literally get as close to the road as they can.
You want the weight as low as you can have it.
Center of gravity
down. As low as you can have it. If you look into the car,
we can barely see over the dash.
If you sat into Barry McKenna's car, for example, all you're seeing is the line of the dash.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're on a flat road, you can't see the road in front of you. All you're seeing is the line of the dash. When you're going uphill, you see the road, or downhill, you see the road. So most of your pace no calling is done through the feel of your bum.
Yeah.
That's what you're feeling. It's the G-forces are telling you what you're going left or right. And I completely agree with Liam. It's very hard to judge your speed because again, when you're carrying those speeds, and you have those corners so slight to know exactly where you are. But then if you get lost in your pace notes yesterday, you're nearly off the notes for the whole stage because you have 4 left, 4 right. You're looking for a point where today you have chicanes, where when you find that chicane, you get back onto your pace notes if you have got lost, unfortunately. Whereas yesterday, if you're lost in your pace notes, you're looking for that specific junction, like a turn square right or a hairpin right, which mightn't be as common in the notes, to try and find your place again. So for the lesser experienced crews, it's difficult on both days, but like Liam says, the high speed is more risk. Because it's when you're approaching the flat right corner and it's 100 meters to the chicane, if you get that wrong, the braking is wrong. You're lost. You're losing time, or you're off the road.
Now, talk to me about the difficulty both for drivers and navigators of some of the changes they can make to the course. For example, today some bales have been put down to make some of the turns a little bit tighter.
Well, look, I think that's down to safety, right? And every driver and navigator, they have to do a hell of a good recce with the DVD, and that's then is where the experience comes in. You're going to have the road book with you when you're trying to do your recce, your reconnaissance DVD, So you have to see the layout of the junctions. Again, I think it comes with experience, David, doesn't it really?
Oh, for sure, it has to. Like we were saying earlier, Oshin, that the crews that were here last year, when we saw the previous clip you showed, and that if they've been here before and they've traversed that road and they know this bit's flat, but not so much that if you have a navigator who's done these stages before, he'll know from previous experiences.
He can drive his driver on.
You can drive the driver on because this is flat, or there's a turn square right down here, but it's more open. So instead of being first gear, you can carry second gear. And it sounds silly, but at the end of a stage, that could be 3-4 seconds, that one difference of gear, because your corner speed is in second gear instead of first gear. You have 3 or 4 seconds gain on your opposition. And that's where both come into play. And when you get an inexperienced crew of driver and navigator, you're learning together at the same rate. But if you get an inexperienced driver with an experienced co-driver, they just accelerate that rate they accelerate the rate of experience they're gaining, or the speed they can gain quicker. And it's still nice, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every driver needs an experienced navigator to gain the sport, or to be in the sport even. Because if you're happy to progress at the same level, then that's brilliant too, because it's nice for a crew to start off together and come through together, to develop. And then when you come through together, as a navigator, you learn to know their strengths and their weaknesses. So where their strengths are, you're trying to maybe temper their strengths, but where their weaknesses are, you're trying to encourage them to try and exploit to lessen the disadvantage in those areas.
We're going to have a look at stage 8 in just a second. We're in Mallow for the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's exciting stuff. We're going to show you so much action between now and when we finish. We're going to bring you right to the conclusion. Liam, who should we be looking out for this weekend and maybe in the conclusion of this event?
Well, right.
It's a tough question.
It's
You
a
can
very
tell
tough
by his
question.
reaction. Yeah,
It is.
But it goes to show the quality of the field.
Well,
out
you
there
see,
that,
look,
you can't just narrow it down to one or two.
Yesterday, you see that the gap at the top two drivers was 1.7 seconds. Now, that is phenomenal rallying for over a course of 6 stages for the gap that small.
And the third driver was only at the disadvantage he was because he'd had a spin on stage 2.
Yeah.
There was nothing between these boys.
If you took away stage 2, the top 3 yesterday were separated points of a second all day. And again this morning on the first loop, it's not you got to the afternoon or those second loop where the power advantage came into play really.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
And those faster stages today, does that allow anyone to make up time, or is it going to be?
Absolutely. I feel that. Again, not taking away from Josh or Barry, but I really felt today's stages played against Andrew Purcell because Andrew would have an R5 car, but the boys would have R5 Plus. And the nature of the stages today would have dictated, you see, with the chicanes, the stop, go, where they had the extra power, the extra punch they were pulling up the road. I put it this way to you, Oisin, yesterday over the technical stages, after we the 1 day's rallying, 1.7 seconds, and Josh had to spin. Today, Josh and Barry pulled 12 seconds out of Andrew in the long stage because it's a power stage. It is the long fast stage. Now again, taking nothing away from the boys, but it's just that they're at such fine margins. They are so tightly, together in pace.
That car difference can make that
much of a difference.
And I spoke to Andrew before it started this morning, and his main focus this morning was on the big stage.
Yeah.
Because when you have a 17-kilometre stage, your possibility for exploiting that 17 kilometres is so much more than a 4 or 5 kilometre stage. You can take so much more time. Yeah. And he put his emphasis on that 17-kilometre stage. And knowing Andrew and not, again, like Liam has said, Josh and Barry are fantastic drivers and a credit to the championship, but just from yesterday to today, that's the difference that the nature of the stage makes, the difference it makes.
But it just goes to show how closely poised them 3 lads are. There's such small margins,
But before you go, I want to hear Liam's answer as to who's going to take the battle this evening.
That's very true, David. He dodged the question, didn't he?
It's probably going to be Barry McKenna now, I feel, will win this rally.
Okay, well, we are here at the Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's in Mallow. It's very exciting. Let's have a look at some of the cars. This is from stage 8. We're going to have a look at some of the starts here, gentlemen. You might talk us through it.
So you have every car, like we said earlier, is at a minute interval. So your navigator at this point is setting, the driver's pulling forward to the start line. The navigator here you see is getting his page of notes ready, and they'll have their in-car camera if they have one switched on, and then they'll count the driver down themselves. It's a beam system, so the driver pulls forward. They have a clock which shows their countdown of time, and then it'll show an amber light when it gets to 10 seconds, and then it'll go, the amber will count down in segments from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 when it turn green. And then basically they break the beam to start the stage. So like yesterday, there's a couple of crews yesterday who jumped the start. They misinterpreted the start and went to it early, so they got penalised with a minute penalty.
You can see now that with the minute intervals in the forestry, it is of a benefit to both driver and navigator. You see, in tarmac it's only 30 seconds. Yep. So the crews here this weekend will have more time to gather their thoughts, get ready, and get themselves focused for the job ahead. At this point, the adrenaline is building, the tension is building. They'll have one last run down with the notes, maybe the first 2-3 notes. And maybe the navigator, the more experienced crews will kind of say, look, they'll run a summary of the stage. This is the stage where we have the windmills and we have the square left that you don't like and stuff like that. The navigator will set his countdown clock on 10 seconds, so he doesn't have to look at the clock anymore. And off they go, and it's great in the woods that you have the 1 minute interval. 1 minute gap is fantastic, Oisin.
So you're getting up to the front end of the two-wheel drive cars, and these are starting now in their seeded order from yesterday in reverse. So basically, the fastest two-wheel drive car will run last on the road today, and then once they get to that point, the four-wheel drive cars will start in their seeded order. So you'll have the fastest two-wheel drive car will be followed through by the fastest four-wheel drive car. Which is your overnight leader, which is Andrew Purcell. So that's James Wilson. I think the last
They're
two stages,
well, boys,
James is just ahead of Jordan Hone in the Opel Adam. This is Mickey Conlon from Monaghan.
Great competitor,
very seasoned competitor.
Yeah,
very
both
seasoned.
Tarmac,
and
very
gravel.
quick man in tarmac and gravel. He's kind of come more to the tarmac in the last 5 years,
He
maybe.
has, yeah.
But a great competitor on all surfaces.
This is Shane McGurr.
He's usually
Was it-
campaigning in a Toyota Railway Drive Starlet.
And he swore he'd never be in a Mark II Escort, but
Has he purchased this, David? Do you know, or is it?
I think this one
is
was
it
traded. I think this was traded in against the car he had, a Mitsubishi he had for a while. They
And
traded
what
this car
made
in.
him go back to the Mark II? Because it's a big statement to say you won't go back, and then when you do,
I don't
Oh,
know.
here.
He always campaigned in the Starlet, and it was served him well. You know.
I think his
This guy's
Starlet's
going
is on a ferry as we speak, going to
Oh, that's
Lithuania.
right. You're correct. He's rallying in Europe.
He's
That's
doing a
right.
rally in Lithuania in a few weeks.
This kid is going well. This
Yeah,
guy is
Jordan
going,
Ho.
he's going extremely well. I'll be honest with you, the car that he's driving, you know, he's really overdriving it. He's been superb, absolutely
Fantastic speed by Jordan all weekend. That was Andrew. This is your overnight leader. So this is the fastest car in the rally is starting this morning. Andrew led yesterday. This is Barry McKenna again out of America. As Barry is.
Yeah, Barry comes
Ray
back
was
from New
telling us
York.
earlier.
Yeah, you know, in fairness to him. And then third on the road is from Monaghan, Josh Moffat, you know.
Combi lift.
Absolutely fantastic competitor on board tarmac. This
And
guy
gravel.
can win. This guy can win any tarmac rally he enters or gravel. You know, he is a super.
And not just in Ireland. This guy can go further afield
Yeah.
and still be at pinnacle level.
Absolutely, you know.
The car just passed with Stephen McCann, again a competitor from Cavan who's just upgraded, like Cavan McCourt, following
Yeah,
him.
to the
Cavan from
R5s.
Oma, who changed up to the R5 category for this weekend as opposed to previous cars.
Philip Allen, bit of an unknown quantity yet, but his
His
comes
first
from
event in
great-
gravel.
Yeah, he comes from very good stock. His father, Glenn Allen, was a seasoned campaigner in the woods for many years.
Yeah.
You know,
have they got launch control, any of these guys, and how
All
big an
of them.
advantage
Yeah.
is that? All of
Yeah.
them?
All the pinnacle level cars will have, yeah.
Okay. And again,
You're
explain,
in out to your fastest. This is a Mitsubishi, so it's a standard production car. We were saying earlier that's some enhancements to bring it to a level for rallying. And again, this is another category within the championship, which is being very, very strongly represented. Niall Devine from Derry, again in a Mitsubishi. And it's like Ray was saying earlier. It's a testament to the championship. They have 3 and 4 cars at least in every category, which is contested for overall honours,
yeah.
which is unseen on many championships. This is Niall McCullough again from Tyrone, from Oma. So it shows it's a credit to the club and the championship that there's not. I haven't mentioned a Cork person yet because we haven't had one yet.
I know.
This is Enda McCormack again from America.
Cork Navigator.
That's
Colin
right, Colin Fitzgerald.
Colin Fitzgerald from
Yep.
Cork in calling the pace notes.
And Colin would have good experience at this event. So like we were saying earlier, he can help bring Enda on. He can pass his
will indeed,
experience
yeah.
down.
Absolutely, yeah. He would bring him on and drive him on, you know. Has Vivian Hamill gone through in his R5 yet?
A brother, Cahan McCourt. This is Conor McCourt in the Group N class. 2 brothers, both contesting the event.
You guys are one big family. There was one shot there. It was only a wheel and a wing mirror, and yet
You
you
didn't
still
recognise it, but yeah.
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 You've seen them every weekend nearly, so you
know, yeah.
you tend to know them.
Absolutely.
With some, again, this is coming back to the point of
Just before you jump, this lad here, Stephen Bett, we call him. He's from Draperstown. It's his first event this year, and all he's aimed towards all year is this event.
Yeah.
So he had unfortunate luck yesterday, mechanical issue, but he had the car sorted overnight to restart this morning. But it just shows the quality of the event, like Ray was saying earlier, that he's emphasised his whole year so far about being in Cork for a 2-day forest.
A lot of guys they'll be willing to skip 1 or 2 events to come here, you know, to keep their budget for Cork. You know, we're very lucky that way down here. I think I towed out that guy yesterday.
Stephen,
yeah, absolutely.
Stephen McKenna, his name is.
Former Forestry champion there. And John, isn't it?
Yeah. You recognise that car earlier, Oisin? It was the McHale car you recognised
yeah,
earlier.
absolutely.
That's it.
This is the Cork man.
Cork
Mark
man here,
Murphy.
Mark Murphy from Douglas, yeah, mechanic, great guy, and a real good forestry competitor.
He rescued us there. Don't recognise that one.
It's not Ed Colton, no?
Oh, it could be actually Ed, yeah.
He just came in a recovery truck behind us, unfortunately.
Oh.
This is what happens when you're watching
Polish
TV.
lads, is it?
That's right.
From my 2 Polish boys.
Two
based
Polish
down
lads
from
doing the
Ireland.
championship this year as
And
well.
it's great to see it, you know, very welcome addition to the championship.
The commitment that teams and drivers and navigators and their families and everything give to actually get here is phenomenal.
Oh,
isn't it?
like, you know, before I got married and had children, I suppose, I was away maybe 22, 23 weekends of the year, you know, and doing a rally in Antrim one week and doing a rally in Galway the next and doing a rally in Cork. It didn't make no difference. It was just we were going rallying. It doesn't matter where it was.
I've seen do rallies in Fermanagh on a Saturday and Cork on a Sunday.
That's true. That's true because most of the rallies north of the border on a Saturday,
Yep.
and sometimes we do a double header. We do one event in the north on a Saturday, and we'd make it back down that night to do the event here on the Sunday.
That is
correct.
commitment. That is
But
commitment.
like you say, actually, it is a very family kind of orientated sport. It's like Ray said earlier. This whole circus will be in Fermanagh again in a few weeks' time.
Correct.
And I went I wouldn't be one for the championship prize givings, but a few years ago, 2 years ago in fact, I went to the prize giving with Ray and Ita kind of invited me, and I couldn't believe the way the whole thing. I brought my wife, who again wouldn't know too many of the competitors, but we went to the prize giving, and you had a group there that everyone knew each other, and everyone mixed, and everyone had a great night. But I think that's why, because no matter where the forestry championship goes, the same group of competitors will follow. It's a credit to the championship that they have that following and that support behind it.
You see, we're doing this 20 years. You know, I mean, these people
Hang on
were
now,
doing.
hang on now.
Show my age now. You know. Look, the surface is still holding up. Lay it into the event, like, you know.
And that's one of the most impressive things about this event. The surface has held up really well.
The stages have just been incredible. We've been so
We've
lucky.
been blessed too with the weather.
Absolutely blessed.
It's still one of the best events. This one, and not taking it with the northern events are still to come, but this event and the previous one, the Moonraker, were fantastic events. Yo, there was a section in the Moonraker in Ballyvourney where we used it twice competitively, and then we traversed it again twice as a road section, and the road was still in perfect condition. It was it's a fantastic quality of roads, and it's a credit to the clubs that they put that work into it, because this event, what you see here, when we leave this evening, we're finished, but the club must go back and repair those roads and leave it a bit more as they got it in conjunction with Quiltia.
Correct.
And that's a huge cost, and before the event they're working for weeks and months in advance of the event, with picking a route, filling potholes, and getting it done. They can't go in obviously all year round, because winter time the roads get hammered with the weather. And but to say they have the road condition they have, and with the weather we had here on Thursday and Friday, I came on Friday morning, and the rain we had was
incredible.
You'd think the roads would be destroyed, and when it was washed away, but the club have done such an effort to have these roads in condition they have.
What I'd say is, like, a lot of people would think, that now that the rally's over today, that's the end of it, but it's not. The club will be out. There'll be people on the stages every night this week, filling potholes, doing little bits of repair, and getting the roads back up to the spec that they've got them from Quilta. So
grading all that loose
gravel
that's
it all now,
gone to the out of the corner, put it back into the middle of the road, rolling it in, rolling the potholes. So when we come back to use it next, so Quilta could use it, for their work in the meantime. But when we come back next year, Quilta are in a position to give it to us to use, but also that the road's in the best condition we can possibly have it in for next year.
Correct.
Yeah, and Quilta have to take an awful lot of credit as well. They work really well with the Irish Forest Rally Championship.
I think everyone was surprised. Even Paul Casey was surprised whenever Ray made a request, could Cork run 2 days or 2 rounds of the championship? And when they approached Quilta about using a complex, they were told, Cork, I think, if I'm right to say, they thought they couldn't use it, and then Quilta made it available to them. It's fantastic that they've that kind of a a relationship with Quilta, that they can go and ask that question, understanding of it, and we all know windmills and that whole business now is such in the forest, and as well as that mountain biking, hill walking, running.
Yeah, we've competitors now for the woods. Like 10 years ago we did the woods for ourselves.
Now we've huge competition.
Huge competition in mountain biking, orienteer. Outdoor sports have become so much more popular in Ireland in the last 10, 12 years. And so now we're competing with other sports, but as I say, we've such a good relationship and understanding with Quilta that we're back every year.
And the key to keeping it alive and keeping everyone happy is to maybe establish a relationship with those other sports, because we've seen it. If you work together with sports, you can get a lot more done rather than sniping at each other.
Yeah, very true. And then that's very true. But then most comes down to the same behind you. Valvoline and what they brought to the championship. Bringing a company of that size and caliber to a forestry championship, which was the it was the lowest graded championship in the country for a while.
One time, yeah.
And now they've brought it to a level where it's rivaling the top level championship.
It's rivaling the tarmac championship.
It's rivaling the pinnacle championships in the country, and that wouldn't happen without sponsors like Valvoline, Mick O'Brien, all those people who are involved, and the small sub-sponsors that help along the way too. It makes a huge thing. That and the competitors and the clubs who are willing to come with it.
Ultimately, it's like the greenskeeper in golf, isn't it? I remember speaking to the greenskeeper at the K Club just before the 2007 Ryder Cup, and I said, you have the hardest job in Europe over the last couple of days and the coming couple of days. Somehow they got it done. The clerk of the course is kind of that greenkeeper role here, isn't it?
He's a ringleader.
It's a massive undertaking. The logistics involved in this rally, I reckon, without exaggeration, is there 500 people involved in today's rally? Between marshals, timekeepers.
I'm just watching over your shoulder, Ossie, and there's marshals who were manning the gate earlier and are now walking around with black bin liner bags, picking up bits of rubbish that are left here to leave the facility we're in here in Mallow, in the order they found it this morning. And that will go on all evening. Marshals will go through and they'll collect the arrows, they'll pick rubbish they see lying about to try and leave the forest exactly as they found them. And that's all part and parcel of it.
Okay, but go ahead.
No, I was just saying the manpower required is phenomenal, you know, but the guys have it managed well now. They sublet it out to stage commanders, and they have their assistant chief marshals, you know, but each stage will be requiring a crew 70, 80 people.
I'd say so.
Between
yeah,
timekeepers, marshals, it's incredible, the logistics. Absolutely, it's a credit to them.
And David, you're so in demand, they can't even wait for you to get off live TV to speak to you. Gentlemen, we'll come back to you in a while. David and Liam, thanks for joining us here in Mallow at the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. Really exciting conclusion coming up here, as the lads have been talking about. But we did mention the clerk of the course and the massive job he has and the responsibility he has. That person is Paul Casey, and we've been hearing from him.
Rolling? Yeah. Paul, successful return to Cork.
Brilliant, lads. Well done. Great stuff.
Absolutely. It's since 2007 is the last time we ran the 2-day. Delighted to have it back. It's been an ambition of mine to have it back for quite a while. And with the help and support of an awful lot of people, we finally have it back. Big entry list. You must be very happy with that. Absolutely thrilled to bits. It was a big gamble for the club to go and run a 2-day rally in the current climate and change from our current 1-day format. Massive support again from the Forestry Championship and the competitors. They're so loyal. Hugely appreciative of the turnout. Huge stage miles out there and very mixed and varied surfaces. It must be getting good feedback from the competitors. Absolutely. Not as much stage mileage as we would like. Traditionally, we would have a little bit more available to us. But the winter wasn't kind, so we had to do a lot of checking and a lot of searching to put together loops that would work together. And again, a massive amount of work by the team, and we managed to pull it together and get those 2 loops with good quality stages. That's the most important thing for us here in Cork Motor Club, is absolutely top quality stages. That's a given. Probably like asking you to pick a favourite child, but have you a favourite stage out there yourself? Oh, that's very easy. It's the closest stage to home, Mount Hillary. Absolute classic.
Well, that was Paul Casey, the clerk of the course. What a huge job Paul Casey has, and what a huge job Paul Casey has done here in Mallow, getting the course ready for 2 days of rallying. And then there's a job of work to do afterwards as well. Really just fixing it up and making sure everything's okay and it's handed back the same way it is found. We are, of course, at the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship in Mallow. We'll be going back out onto the track very shortly, but Kenny Hanlon has joined Liam and I here in, I suppose, what you call the eye of the storm, because it's very calm at the moment. It might be so calm a little bit later on. Kenny, you've been working in the workshops, and you might give us a little bit of an indication as to what kind of work you're doing and what's going on there, because a lot of people watching this, some of them will be motorheads, if we want to put it that way, not music fans, not the band, but some people will be relatively new to forest rallying. So you might just give us a brief explainer as to what you do.
Basically, the biggest difference from tarmac would be the cars raise up, suspensions complete took out, replaced with gravel setup. Again, the big wheels, rough tyres for the grip. Guards all need to be stronger, beefed up. The stones, they're savage in bodywork, so all that has to be beefed up. Basically, that's the biggest changes that you'd make from tarmac.
Have you had any big issues to deal with this weekend? 1 or 2 drivers have been talking about hitting stones and all that. I imagine that can cause all sorts of issues.
Yeah, our Hyundai driver, Philip Allen, definitely made us work this weekend. But
did he hit that chicane? He did.
I think twice. But but no, overall, he got away pretty light now, and we got him going again each time, so our job was done.
And do you like that? Do you like the kind of challenge of someone limping into you, or maybe even being towed into you, and you having to get them back out there and competing?
Might regret saying this, but kind of do. Yeah, it kind of it keeps it interesting. You know, it's part of the challenge is the time constraints, and basically getting it out. It's a bit of satisfaction in that, like, you know.
Yeah, and Liam, very often your, I suppose, weekend or your race is in the hands of someone like Kenny.
Oh God, absolutely. Yeah, you cannot beat a good service crew. They are worth their weight in gold. Many a time we've limped into a service area, still in contention, and you know, if this next 60-minute service doesn't go right, we're out of the rally. And damn, these, you know, the service crew, they just get stuck in. They're in a tight schedule. I'm being the navigator, I'm watching the clock, I'm kind of annoying them, I'm kind of saying, guys, come on, we've only got 20 minutes, 15 minutes, big countdown, and you see the pressure. but the satisfaction when them boys pull it off and they're successful in their endeavours. You go back out there in full 100% mechanical working order. There's no better feeling. There's no better feeling, honestly, because them boys have just bailed you out of a hole.
And Kenny, are you like Mr. Scott in Star Trek? Do you big up the problem so it seems like you've done a better job than you actually have?
That's it. We always talk it up. Like, that was a big job there.
Yeah.
Come here, what's the worst job that could be handed to you at the start of that hour-long service? What's the biggest job you've ever had, or I suppose from your point of view, the most enjoyable, because you love fixing them, don't you?
It differs car to car. They're not all designed the same. Not all laid out. You mentioned the gearbox.
Gearbox is a big job, yeah.
But in saying that, we used to do a Skoda gearbox in and out in 20 minutes. Now they're well laid out in that, but again, it was a well rehearsed procedure. So basically, we don't bow down to any challenge. We'll take it.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you say it's well rehearsed. So, like, what kind of work do you do to prepare yourself for various problems that might pop up?
Basically, in the workshop, everything we have to do at a rally has been done 10 times over in the workshop. For example, this weekend when these cars finish, they'll go straight back into the workshop. They'll get washed down, fully cleaned up again, ready for working on, and then they'll get stripped back down again. Every component inspected. So anything we have to take off, we have to put back on, obviously. So that's all part of it when it comes to a rally. It's no surprise.
We'll say, for example, when a Mark II pulls in, is that a lot easier than maybe one of these cars with a lot of electronics?
Not particularly, no.
Really?
Usually the modified cars are actually harder to work on than homologated cars, depending on how they are, as the name suggests, modified. So generally, no, the homologated cars are better put together.
I think they're designed to be stripped and refitted
basically
faster. They're designed for this.
Yeah.
They're designed to be stripped down and rebuilt faster than other cars.
But how important is the instinct still? Because I imagine nearly you'd know by the sound of a car, and you kind of know by the feel of a car. Because what I've noticed from this weekend is the cars are like living, breathing things to everyone around here. They're not inanimate objects.
Yeah, as you say, your instincts, but I just put it into experience. Basically, if you're working on a particular brand of a car, you get to know that. Luckily, we have had the opportunity. I've had nearly every R5 car through Philip Case's workshop, so we're pretty familiar with them all. So on each one of them has their own traits and stuff to watch out for.
Now, talk to me about Monaco. You were there earlier in the year. I imagine that was quite fun.
I was, yeah, it was interesting. Now it was tiring nonetheless, but it was very, very interesting. Now the kind of rally started as soon as you land. You have shakedown, you have a full day of scrutiny, and you have re-prepping for the start of the rally and so on. But pretty nice place now, very nice place. It's
and who were you running with? Who were you fixing up, I should say?
Who were fixing up? Enda McCormick was there in the Fiesta. In fairness to Enda, he didn't do too bad at all. Now he didn't. We weren't too busy altogether now. Just the usual stuff.
Tough rally, though, isn't it?
Very tough rally. Very tough rally.
What makes it so tough?
It's the logistics and the timetable, isn't it? You could have the rally launch in Monte Carlo, then you're going to drive 4.5 hours to the service area in Gap.
That's right.
Then you could, when you have a service in Gap, you could then have another 1.5 road section to the first stage.
Yep.
And then in the evening time, Friday, Saturday night, you could be back in Park Fermo 1, 2 a.m.
Yep.
And you could be back in there, get the car out 5:30.
If I remember right, I think our first service was around 10 o'clock on Friday night.
Yeah, it is so punishing and grueling, tight windows to get the car turned, and long road section. It's a tough rally. Logistically, it's a tough rally.
You mentioned the long road section there. What kind of extra difficulty does that add? Refueling, maybe just tweaking different things about the car? What are the differences?
Fuel is a big issue.
Fuel.
There'll be no tweaking on the road section as such, but it's very tiring for the driver and navigator. Like, to be concentrating that long in a rally car, they're not built for comfort. The heat, the noise, it's just tiring if you've got 3 days.
Like following a road book for 4.5 hours through certain towns, and the road book will only tell you to go maybe 2 kilometres this way and then turn right and then go 3 kilometres that way and left, and so you can never take your eye off the ball for 4.5 hours. So look, it's going to be mentally tiring on both driver and navigator to be. Essentially, a car is a work environment. A rally car is a work environment. So it's not. It's as Kenny said, it's built for speed, not comfort.
But I guess as it was Monaco, yacht parties afterwards and the casinos. That made it all worthwhile, right? You guys,
Absolutely. Do you know,
Yeah.
the champagne just made it so much
you
easier.
guys put on the tuxedos,
Yeah.
threw on the nice jewellery, headed out.
Put 100,000 on black. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, it's just tough. It is
Yeah.
tough. It is a tough rally.
Yeah. Now,
you know.
from Monaco to Fermanagh. Fermanagh have got a big event coming up in the next couple of weeks. If you look around here,
The
you'll see all
Lakelands.
these trucks and everything. All these trucks will be up there as well. Talk to me about the different challenge of Fermanagh as compared to this challenge here in Cork.
Each rally brings its own challenges, you know, be it the surfaces, be it again logistics. Really, you'll find out on the day. You'll find out what after the first loop. You'll have an idea what's happening. Is there bad sections? Is there potholes? Usually there's not now. In fairness, the roads are pretty good. Is there a rock, as you mentioned earlier, catching everyone out? You know, each given rally has their own challenges.
Yeah. And how long do you leave it before you're looking at your notes for the next rally, Liam, or are you looking at the notes as soon as you get home on a Sunday
No,
night?
to be fair, actually, they will release a reconnaissance DVD of the event a week prior, only a week. So you'll get your notes, because they don't want people over-analysing, they don't want people, going on. So I think it's about a week is the window, maybe 10 days. And it's then and only then that we can start doing our fuel schedules, we can start doing a reconnaissance DVD together, driver and navigator. And sometimes it's tough if your driver is from Tyrone and you're from Cork. So you might have to wait till the night before the event to sit down and do the reconnaissance.
Especially after the hammering Tyrone gave Cork in the championship this year.
Don't mention that, no, please. That's all. But no, you're right, absolutely, yeah. So, but generally, no. I just say, if it was a local crew, two guys that live close to each other, they might do the Recce DVD twice, maybe 3 times together, 3-4 hours at each time in the week in the run up to the event. We'll have two. You might do it the Monday night, the Wednesday night, and then the Friday night, the night before the rally itself. That's what we usually would have done in the past. Once we have the information made available to us, we'll utilise it.
Yeah, the wind is picking up here. We'll be back out onto the track very shortly as the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship concludes. Well, this particular section of it in Mallow anyway, it's leading into an exciting ending to the championship. It's very close out there today. It's very close out there generally. Kenny, you seem like a pretty relaxed guy. How important is it for you to kind of maintain that composure during an event when things maybe aren't going 100% right and you've got to think on your feet?
It's crucial. Again, people we work with every day of the week. We all have a good working relationship, so it helps. So if you have a problem, there's always somebody there to back you up. But definitely never panic. Keep a cool head and get it done.
Liam, what's the worst mechanical issue that you've ever had that has been fixed very quickly by someone like Kenny, the real heroes of all this?
Oh my God. I suppose I can't really put my finger on one, being with the amount of rallying that I've done. Generally for us guys in the modified gearbox is a big change for us, isn't it, really? On any major service area you come in, you've lost third and fourth gear, or you could just twist the back axle and maybe if you need a spare back axle in the vehicle, get it up. It all depends on the service period, whether you have a half an hour, 60 minutes. But I can trust me, there's been many a service where I've been sweating profusely and trying to make sure the service crew get us over the line. Sometimes car might not be ready, you might go out to the control and blag your time, get it time with no car, but hey, that's for another story, that's for another day, but no, it varies actually. It varies from event to event, as I say, the characteristics, anything can happen. And
I'd say at this stage, Kenny, you've never been thrown something new, or even this long into it, are you still getting new problems thrown your way? Are you still being forced to think?
Always something new. It's part of the fun in this game. It's never the same. It never gets boring.
As Kenny just said, it's so crucial for the service guys to remain cool and calm in service. That rubs off on the crew. If our guys are in control, if the service crew are in control and they're calm about it, it rubs off onto the driver and navigator. If they're all wound up and upset and uptight, we'll be wound up and upset and uptight going out the door, going out. So it's vital for these boys to remain calm and say, look, no problem, we'll deal with it. Just go in and have a cup of tea. Let us worry about it.
Okay, Liam and Kenny, for now, thank you very much. This is a massive undertaking, any event like it, especially this weekend here in Mallow. 2 days of Irish Forest Rally Championship action, and it couldn't be done without the sponsors. We've been hearing from one of them.
So we're with Paul O'Connor from Craft Fitted Furniture, main sponsor of the event here in Cork. Paul, tell us, how long have you been involved in the event down here?
We're the main sponsor for the past 4 years.
Very good. And tell us your involvement with motorsport. You follow it yourself? Are you involved in any other way?
I do. I'm involved in it myself and my son. We do some autographing there for the past 10 or 15 years, And we like the rallying and we're very much involved in it, It's a great atmosphere around Mallow Town.
Absolutely. And obviously, you're tempted at getting involved yourself. I believe you're building something.
Look, you never know what the next 12 months might bring, We hope might be here next year competing this event,
Absolutely. As you touched on earlier, it's great to have the event here in Mallow. It brings a lot of buzz to the town.
Absolutely superb. I mean, to see the atmosphere around Mallow yesterday and today, we drove the stages this morning. Fantastic. Great achievement to everyone involved,
That's brilliant. Paul, thank you so much for your support and thank you for your time.
No bother. Thank you. Best of luck. Cheers, lads.
As we say, you couldn't run these events without sponsors, and I know that everyone involved is very grateful to the ones who have got involved. This is the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. We're in Mallow in Cork, and we're joined by a bona fide legend, Eugene Donnelly, joined by two legends. Obviously, Liam is a legend as well.
I'm a legend in my own house, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Eugene, talk to me about this event. Great atmosphere all weekend, really enjoyable, isn't it?
Well, somebody described it, actually Mark Keane, my current navigator, described it a few weeks ago. This is the Donegal of forestry rallying.
Correct.
In the Tarmac series, in the Tarmac Championship and in the Tarmac rallies, Donegal is seen as the best rally in the country. It's a 3-day event, so this being the 2-day event and run on gravel, it's it's the only event of its type here in Ireland. And absolutely the atmosphere here on Friday evening and all day yesterday was brilliant. So well organised, I have to say. Not that there's rallies badly organised in this country, but for a 2-day event to move 2 locations for the service area, and I'm sure you've touched on this before, fantastically well run. The traffic was well managed, and the drivers, spoke to quite a lot of them here over the weekend, and they were all saying every stage bang on time. That's good for spectators. That's good for people who don't even really have a big involvement in the rally, but want to come out and have a look. It's great just that the rally all runs on time and that there's no issues,
Eugene, I guess everyone maybe thinks of you as a tarmac guy, but you are a former winner of this championship as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose all us rally drivers, our heart really lies on the gravel. 90% of us all start there where we do, I grew up doing grass tracking and some hot rodding, and then got into doing single events like quarry events and things like that. So it's all done on loose, so you naturally progress until forestry rally. And back in my day, it was cheaper to do that than it was to go to tarmac events. And believe it or not, it was easier on the cars, because a tarmac event can be quite sore on the car from all the adhesion. And to be fair, you probably, when you have an accident on tarmac, you probably do more damage. But it's at my heart anyway, the gravel. As I progressed through my career, more so when I got involved in the Tarmac Championship and had a bit of success at that there, that sparked the sponsorship. So in those days, that's the only place that we could get real sponsorship was for the Tarmac Championship. So, I laid out my stall, I got my car, did the rounds and picked up enough money to go year after year and was very successful at it. Whereas this, I think, is a great, it's a great stepping stone to bring this championship to the fore, so that the drivers out there can say, well, look, we now have live feeds on Facebook, we have media exposure, now can we attract some sponsorship to get, not that the drivers here today are bad drivers, but to get more drivers into it and maybe better drivers into it, to put up more of a challenge right down the whole field. I mean, there's kids here, one guy in particular that I picked out this weekend was actually a star to me, and I'm not studying the form of everybody, but just I know if this kid had money, people would sit up.
What stood him out? What are you looking at that made you
stage
think?
times in the car that he was driving. The car he was driving, quite frankly, excuse the way I put it, was a piece of shit. But the guy just, the times he put in yesterday morning, he had some problems in the evening, but look, just going back to my point, this sort of stuff here, getting this out into the media, getting it in front of people, brings on sponsors like Valvoline. What better way could they get out to get their product out there to sell it? But the drivers need support. They need support via sponsorship, but sponsors need exposure. This is the ideal way to do it.
Yeah, I think you might have been talking about Cathal McCourt there, who's been impressing this weekend.
There's been so many.
Yeah.
Young Mackerel has been incredible in the Nova.
That's who I was picking out.
That kid. he is just punching so far above his weight in that Nova. And as Eugene says, it's probably a 5-6 grand car. Really, it's the kid is nominated. I think, is he nominated this year for the Billy Coleman Award? And deservedly so. This kid is on fire in the Nova, and he is punching way above his weight, as I say, and beating cars double, triple, quadruple its value in what he's driving. So hats off to that kid. He's flying, absolutely flying.
Eugene, what do you like about this particular course, this particular track? All the drivers are coming in saying they're loving it. What do you like about it?
Well, these forests down in this end of the world have been notorious for they're very smooth and they're quite wide in places. So you know that gives it its character. They're lovely events, or lovely stages to drive on, and where you can float the car about and you get massive speeds out of it. And then you have nice tidy junctions where you have to break up and the car comes right down into first gear, and there's a lot of thrill in that there where the car's moving the whole time, whereas on tarmac it's a completely different environment. But further up the country, up around where I'm from, the forests up there wouldn't be as well cared for as they are down here, and the tracks are more narrower and more stony. And I think also the time of the year that they are ran, when the weather is bad, it seemed to cut up a lot more. So you know, those are the things that separate the events. But these forests down here have always been brilliant, like all over the years. Like
Cork always had a great reputation, you know, and the Moonrakers also. But I think it's down here with the mass. Is it, Eugene, the windmills, that there has to be certain regulations in place for the roads when they're erecting all these windmills on the on the forestry trail. So they have to bring articulated trucks onto the stages and rigid trucks on them. So by EU law, EU standards, they have to be of a certain grade and a certain width. And we're just so lucky that we rally on these particular forests with all these windmills on it. We're very lucky.
I'm glad you mentioned the windmills there, Liam. Let's actually have a look at stage 9 now, and we'll get a look at some of those windmills. The cars flying through in some beautiful scenery in the background. The scenery so beautiful around Mallow over the last couple of days. A very, very fast section, this. You wouldn't think it to look at now, but here we go.
I think that's Joe. Is that Joe Shinner's senior? That's Greg Shinner's father.
They're coming off a long tarmac section there, and I guess
that's Boggara Road now, with the long stage. Is it nearly 20 kilometres, Eugene? I think it is.
15 or 16
but it's an incredible stage. I was lucky to drive it there earlier on today with Leo Hassett, the CEO of Motorsport Ireland. And he was wildly impressed by the quality of these stages, how smooth and firm they still were after a couple of days' rain, you know.
Yeah. It gets very kind of tight in some areas and then kind of goes wide. It's a funny stage, Eugene, isn't it?
Well, I only ever seen this on the DVD, but I remember doing it years ago. Like I say, I won the rally here, 2002, I think it was. And just thinking back, even before the windmills, and I take your point, even before that, there were still great tracks, you know. But look, it's the characters of any gravel stage, or the characters of any stage. You try to have a bit of everything to challenge the driver, a bit of narrow, a bit of wide stuff, a bit of tight stuff, a bit of fast stuff. I think there's a section here at the start of this stage where, at the very start, I think there's maybe 3/4 of a mile where it's flat out. There's 3 or 4 flat out corners in it. You come to a junction, and then it's out on the tar. I think you're right,
See, Oisin, I don't know if you've noticed, they're going from one forest to another. And they're running on a tarmac. See, that's a tarmac road they're on there. Yep. It's a regular road that's been closed with the permission of the Cork County Council, and it's just linking the two forests together, you know, because it would be a shame to finish at one forest and start on another. So they show the ingenuity to link it up and use the tarmac section, you know.
Yeah, give it a bit of mileage, like.
Absolutely.
As you can see, everybody's getting caught out because they're used braking on gravel, and they think now when they come on the tarmac, I can leave it a little bit later. But they're on knobbly tires, as we used to call them, and they get caught out with their braking. So there's a few guys here making a bit of a meal of it, you know.
It's good for the juniors to be given access to stages of this quality, so it'll give them confidence going forward, you know.
There's quite a few overshoots on this one, I'm led to believe, stage 9.
You should be down in there just hugging that post and that gate there to get the maximum out of it. I'm sure if we've seen Andrew Purcell or some of the top guys, that's what they would be at. Probably Andrew would have took the gate post with him.
But they can't all be Eugene Donnelly, Liam, can they?
No, less than 1% of the population can do that. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of overshoots.
But you know, to be fair, fatigue now is probably coming into it now as well at this stage. At stage 9, you know, there's a lot of tired arms and tired heads out there, you know, and the tyres are pretty much worn too, Eugene, I suspect.
That's tricky. That is a tricky junction. I have a young driver here this weekend, Philip Allen, who's done his first gravel rally. And like a lot of these young drivers who have started out at the bottom end of the scale, he's been lucky enough, and obviously I've got behind him to be here in my R5 Hyundai i20. And the biggest thing we had with him yesterday was trying to get him to understand the speed of the slow corners, not the fast corners, and to break it up and get his line right on this slow stuff. And this is the classic example where everybody's making the mistake. They're going wide here, like that's dropping 3-4 seconds every time there. You know? And it's just a trait that you have to learn, like over years and years of practice. You know.
Philip has been going extremely well this weekend, hasn't he, Eugene? In all fairness to him.
He went very well. We had a problem yesterday morning on the first 2 stages, or yesterday at the start of the rally. Just a wee sensor failed on the car, so the first 2 stages he kind of knocked him out of kilter. But after that, there he started to get his feet, and he set in some good times, albeit that it is his first rally on gravel, which is pretty impressive.
That was pretty tidy, that last one there.
Yeah. So it's difficult, like, you know, a big rally like this here, it's difficult to get the consistency, especially if you do it for the first time.
He comes from good stock.
Yeah, his father, I think his father won this rally as
I think he would have done,
Glenn.
Glenn. Glenn was a legend in the forestry rallying community for many a year.
Yeah. Well, many a good party we had in this town. And in Mitchellstown.
That may be a discussion for another show.
Maybe,
We're going to concentrate on the racing, Eugene.
Okay.
For now, anyway.
Well, you were asking about the atmosphere, you know, so there you go. Like.
It's always a very open question.
Yeah.
That's a problem even Kenny, our mechanic, may not be able to fix.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's a great corner, that. It's absolutely flat. So this is young Jenna McCann from Cavan, I think, is it, Eugene? Her brother Stevie is running 4th or 5th overall in his R5 car. Her uncle started the rally as well. Big rallying family there, the McCanns.
Yeah.
Tarmac and gravel. Eugene, you campaigned one of these cars one time. Was it a G3 or?
I never actually brought it into the forest, but yeah, great car. Well, again, it was a hybrid car. It wasn't made as a rear-wheel drive Escort, but yeah, I had a lot of success with a G3 Escort, as they call them. I think I won the national championship, and I won 3 or 4 national.
I just love these. I just love
Mark
these Mark
IIs?
IIs. I love them.
Yeah.
You're probably picking up, because Liam has been on with us all day, Eugene. He's probably picking up my obsession with them. My dad had one, and he let it go. I've never forgiven him.
Well, Oisin, I'll be honest with you, Eugene will back me up when I say this, that the Irish rallying community have engineered the Mark II Escort to a level nowhere else seen in Europe. Nowhere else. They brought it to an absolutely incredible high level.
15 years ago, I think, I did this rally in a BDA Escort, which would have been it would have been the R5 car
of the day
back then. And what a motor to drive. I always said it was one car that I could have drove through the eye of a needle. It gave you that much confidence. Like, see the way he was just cut in there and just, you know, millimeters from the wee stick there. That's the way you can drive a Mark II Escort. But they were fantastic cars. And as, you know, cars developed and through the years, cars turned to be more precise to get the speed. Whereas a Mark II Escort, just you could be as flamboyant as you wanted to, and it still carried a lot of speed, like. But it just was the nature of the way the car drove, and there's not another vehicle like it. There isn't another car like it.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier on with Kenny, that these cars, they're not inanimate; they're living, breathing things.
Yeah. Oh, you know, you have to
they're
tame
like your
them.
pet.
Yeah, you have to tame them and work with them. I'll be honest with you. I've been very lucky to have done this rally now on numerous occasions with a Mark II man, Frank Kelly. Frank and I have been campaigning down here for a long time in modified escorts, and we'll always have a good 2-wheel drive battle here, you know. So the Mark IIs are a super car, absolutely super.
Are you sure it's the car you had to tame?
I was thinking it, Eugene, but I think it's better you said it.
Most people watching this here would understand what I've just said.
Yeah, we good times.
I think it's Frank who had the cam more than the car.
Oh, that wild small man.
Yeah. But certainly a rally that he would have enjoyed.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Frank has been campaigning in the gravel for numerous years now and adores the adores the cutthroat nature of the Mark II rear-wheel drive rallying and how tight it can be, you know, and you know that's his thing really, you know, and it's been great. We've had some great years down here.
Another classic car.
Twin cam.
Another classic car for the different community, let's call it.
Here comes the Nova stroke Corsa.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for young Mackerel here now. He'll be in a red Nova, a red one of these, and he's absolutely on a great pace. He's a fabulous little driver. You wouldn't see much of these G3s anymore now on tarmac, sure you wouldn't,
No,
Eugene. They're kind of in the woods now.
They're a bit dated now.
Yeah.
What dated them?
Technology.
Technology, yeah.
Technology.
But isn't it amazing how they became dated, but the Mark II didn't? Is that
there was a lot of investment put in the Mark IIs.
So had the same investment gone into the G3, it might still be up.
But you've got to remember, G3 wasn't naturally a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah, okay.
They were a hybrid thing, like, you know. Whereas the Mark II was naturally rear-wheel drive. So
made for
the guys just started to improve things. Engine being the first one, then the suspensions, and then gearboxes, and you know they just like there's some of the Mark II Escorts now that campaign are as fast as our 5 cars, and would be faster in the straight line.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they fall foul a wee bit on is not having 4-wheel drive and having the braking ability, and you know some of the suspension tricks that's in the new cars, but they're very fast machines.
See, Oisin, this here now typically is a Class 14 Escort, you know, and Eugene will acknowledge this when I say that these are now 100,000 to build, 120,000, you know, 120,000 to build, like, you know, for a cutting-edge Class 14 Mark II Escort, you know. That's Ryan Loughran's hire car, another cutting-edge Class 14 car. He's got a Kevin Gallagher engine, I think, isn't it, a KGP engine from Donegal?
Not sure.
Yeah, it's a 2-litre. He's got a 2.5 Vauxhall.
You'd be well up to speed on what's in Mark IIs. I wouldn't.
These boys are absolutely driving very well all weekend. A couple of these lads in these 208s, they're really high quality, very efficient drivers.
Yeah, that's the new breed.
Yeah.
In what sense, Eugene?
The young drivers who are coming on now are brought up in that sort of a car, and it's a completely different style. They're
efficient.
Yeah, and every millimetre counts. Like, and they PlayStation come up through PlayStation. That's when they learn the first characteristics of it, and then they apply that to the cars. You know. Whereas we were just threw into Morris Minors and away you go. Like you weren't told.
You actually learned by driving cars.
Yeah. But you weren't told what to do. You just got on and felt it yourself.
And I guess when we're talking about change and evolution, sometimes we refer to it negatively. But are there positives of that?
Oh, for the Mark IIs, completely. They brought them to a level that's just, you know, to a whole new level. I mean, the driver. Oh, here's young Mackerel, is it? This kid, like this kid is rapid. He's a candidate now for the Billy Coleman Award this year.
Oh, that never ever lifted it.
Wow.
Never lifted.
That's smooth.
Yeah, oh no, he's so quick.
It's amazing actually when even with the untrained eye I have, you can still see the difference. You know.
Is this young Marty Gallagher from Donegal? I think
so. Yeah.
It's lovely driving as well. Yeah. They're driving out of their skins, them boys, and them 208s all weekend.
But going back to the point I was making about you were talking about the kids learning through PlayStation as opposed to actually driving. Is there some kind of advantage in that, or is it just it's a change and that's just the way it is?
Well, it's the cars nowadays as well, but the technology that's in the cars, the chassis, the way the car is designed now, it's not like the old days. The car doesn't move around anymore, so it's very precise. So the bit of experience they would have of the feel of the car on a PlayStation through a steering wheel, it has to be so precise. I don't know if you ever played any of them video games, but I took a fad at it there for a while, and that's what I could see.
Yeah.
But you had to be so precise. So then when you get into these new cars with new technology, you have to be so precise with them. Whereas a Mark II Escort, you can fling it around and have a bit of flamboyancy with it, but you can't with these new yokes.
And did you do that? Did you play the PlayStation because you wanted to get a feel of it and you wanted to see what was coming and their understanding?
I'm just nuts about
no, you just
nuts about speed.
Here now we have Andrew Corson going through. We were saying that Andrew would suffer on these characteristics at these stage with having the regular R5 as opposed to the guys here with the R5 Plus. Not taking anything away like from the guys, but they're carrying some speed up here now. Barry McKenna's flying at the moment. And
I think that's a great drive.
Yeah, usually improve. Usually he's having a fabulous weekend.
That's good and neat there. You wouldn't expect anything else from him, in fairness to Josh.
Look at him there now, look.
Wow.
No mess in there.
That's beautiful.
He's a fabulous campaigner, though, Josh.
He's some driver.
This is Stevie McCann now from Cavan. His sister Jenna went through a while ago. A1 skips in Dublin. He's a good driver too. He's relatively new to the woods. He was always a tarmac campaigner.
Yeah. Is that the first out in the woods? In
No,
that car,
but it's his first season. In that car, maybe
Yeah,
it is it? I think you're right. It is his
yeah.
first event in that.
Just in case you've only clicked on, watching stage 9 of the Irish Forest Rally Championship in Mallow this weekend, sponsored by Valvoline. Eugene Donnelly and Liam Brennan with you to talk you through it.
Here's my car here. Of course, he gets it wrong. Us watching him.
What about the recovery?
No, not good there.
No.
You see the lack of experience, but he
Yeah.
came off the throttle. Nobody else, the first 4 guys, all kept the throttle lit, like, you know.
This is Vivian Hamill here. He usually campaigns in a Mark II Escort. He is hired this. Is it a Don Buckley car, Eugene? I think a right-hand drive R5.
Yeah.
And a right-hand drive R5 is quite rare, Oisin. You know, they're mostly left-hand drive.
One thing you cannot sense watching this on TV or online is just the sense of the event when you're here, and the smell of the engines and the smell of the petrol. It's captivating. It really is.
That's a great way to put it. Captivating.
And I tell you, as rally cars go, you'll be shocked at how quiet it is inside these Evo 9s. Is that correct, Eugene? They're very refined. Very refined and quiet in there. It's very calm.
Well, now, to be fair, the last time I was in an Evo 9 was 2 years ago, and it wasn't that quiet. I was in it when the driver had a tree with the badge.
Oh shit, that was
in Sligo.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, the bang was quite loud. Yeah.
Is it Paul Kiley?
Paul Kiley,
That's
my
right,
navigator. Yeah.
How do you think the guys are liking this particular stage, these roads, up by the windmills?
Well, look, I'll be honest with you. The characteristics of these roads are what all forestry drivers want. Isn't that correct, Eugene? That's why they put on their helmet and go for these types of roads. These guys are in an adrenaline rush here. They're really loving life here now at this present moment in time. It doesn't, Oisin, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it doesn't get much better than these particular stages that they're on. They're absolutely enjoying life there, you know.
Cork man talks up Cork. That's a surprise, Eugene, isn't it?
Where do we get you up north, huh?
Fermanagh in a couple of weeks, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Although the Bushwhacker turns out some great stages too in Tyrone. You know.
But no, in fairness, these are the daddy of them all. Like, they are these stages. Like, you know, there's none of these guys you'd say, oh, such and such a rally's any better than Cork.
That's the chap Hegel. He's up from Derry, I think, didn't he? I think he had mechanical issues yesterday. We pulled him in. I think he's back out again today on Super Rally.
Here we go. Let's see how it's handled.
They're all making a bit of a meal of it because it's difficult coming off the tar.
Yeah.
It is difficult coming off the tar.
That's why we put the camera there.
Yeah.
It's the nature of it, isn't it? They do everything else so well, and we put the camera where it's a bit of a struggle. They won't thank us for that.
This is a bit of a rare breed of a car. This is one of these Proto cars. They're built in Poland. They're on a Fiesta shell, but Mitsubishi Evo 10 engine and all running gear and Samsonite suspension and Samsonite gearbox. Fabulous going car for the woods, you know. Fabulous going bit of kit.
What makes it so good?
The intelligence of it, the technology, you know, the price.
Yeah. It's a lot cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. This is a proper works. Former McHale car, Eugene, is it?
Not sure which
John
that car
Reed,
that is,
yeah.
I didn't get it, but
It's a proper cam car.
Yeah, it takes you back. It takes me back looking at it.
They were always good to you, weren't they, the Corollas?
Very good to me. I only ever did one gravel rally in it, which, I think the Lakeland stages, about 2006, and I finished second in it.
Yeah, I think so.
It looks fast.
Yeah.
KPL won it, I think. But yeah, brilliant car. Great car.
What made it so good?
Again, that car at that time, 2006, I think it was. There was paddle shift on it. There was it had great torque, 2-litre engine in it, big turbo on it.
Speaking of big turbo, here's some big speed. Oh, bit too much.
There now is the safety of the back.
Good recovery, yeah.
Yeah, for considering he went in at such a rate of knots.
Good recovery.
But But you were lucky too, Eugene. That time you were campaigning to Crola. It was DCAR at the time, wasn't it? To have, you know, you were very lucky that he designed it and brought it on more.
Well,
like.
I was very lucky that I had a great team in the sense that, you know, Derek McGeehan and McGeehan Motorsport, they worked very hard till you know, to develop the car on once we brought it to Ireland in 2004, and the car had, you know, they'd stopped making it at that time, you know. But look, we were very, very fortunate that we got a lot of the TTE people who ran the car when it was in the World Championship to help us out, keep developing it. But you know, rallying is all about the package. It's, you know, about the tyre, about the car, about the co-driver, the driver, obviously, and the manager, and that's what it's all about. It's not, you know, at that level. When you're trying to win rallies, you need that whole package, you know.
Patsy Keane, there, another guy based in the United States, comes home to events. Martin Brady sitting with him, a very seasoned navigator.
A lot of these cars are now arriving back.
Correct.
So they're going to have a look at this, and we promise we're going to show some of their good stuff as well. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, that was good.
Do we have confirmation of a winner yet, you know?
I've seen it there a while ago, I think.
So here we go. This stage 9 up by the windmills. The windmills of Mallow as opposed to Holland. It is the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship, the Mallow event. 2 days of just supreme racing and just 2 days of a great atmosphere as well around the town. It's really brought something to the town, and I speak to people around the town earlier on, they were really glad it was here.
I think we have the final results there now.
So no spoilers, we'll get to that. But it's quite close.
Yeah, it was close in the end between the top two boys, in all fairness.
Just keep it on the track. Slow it down. It's the last car, I think.
See, Oisin is so difficult for him, you see, as you say, he's coming on a very fast tarmac section. Do you know, and he's now approaching the gravel again, so that's why we've had such overshoots there.
Yeah, well, we are at Mallow for the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. Liam Brennan and Eugene Donnelly still with us. All the cars coming in. It's kind of wrapping up now. We will show you the best of the action and bring you the winners and everything else that matters from Mallow here. But for the moment, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Mallow. It's the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's all wrapping up now, and I'm joined by Matthew and Jason Murphy, who today won the J1000 Championship. Gentlemen, you must be absolutely delighted. Matthew, I'll start with you.
Yeah, delighted to take another win. We put enough points on the board today to secure the championship. So yeah, delighted.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trip down to Cork, isn't it, Jason, to come away with the championship?
Yeah, we knew we had to come down here and push this weekend to get the win, but no, we're very happy. We had a bit of an off yesterday that kind of hampered us, but got back out this morning and had some fun.
What did you do to recover from that little bit of a bump that you had yesterday?
Well, yesterday we went off like on a 4 right, and we just basically got beached, and there was nobody out in the wood where we went off, typical, and we just had to sit it out until that round went by. Then we got recovered, and we got in under Rally 2 rules yesterday. So we actually we gathered points for 4th place yesterday, which was very valuable to us, or for Jason in the Drivers' Championship. And a start today got us over the line. But we went on to do a lot better today, time-wise.
Yeah, and Jason, that's a challenge, isn't it, to have something like that thrown at you, but to recover from it and do what you've done, I guess that makes the win all the more special.
Yeah, we just kind of, I sat down anyway last night and just looked at myself and said, kind of give myself a slap on the wrist and said, keep it on the road today, and we done that, and we got a good times in, and we're happy enough.
It's very simple to say it. It's harder to do it, isn't it? Keep it on the road.
Very easy to say it. I think we actually today I've yet to confirm stage 6 today, or the 6th round today, 6th stage today. But we got 5 stage wins today. So after, I suppose, that little the time on the sideline yesterday gave us time to think and kind of get the job done today.
So listen, you have won the Junior 1000s Championship, but you might explain to me what exactly that is, because I'm conscious that a lot of people watching us here from Mallow today may not watch Forest rallying that much. They may actually be watching it for the very first time.
Yeah, basically the class in the championship, the J1000 class, is a class that a 15-year-old driver between the age of 15 and 19 can drive on the stages. Road section, I take over. I drive on the road section. Now Jason could drive today on the road section because he now has his full driving license. Yeah. But a 15-year-old can come into the class and rally on forestry stages, do the full rally. Navigator must have experience, and so they say. And it's a class that gives so much opportunity to young drivers. It's the first time it's been done in the British Isles. Last year it was the first year. Jason took the title last year on the first year, and but this year was a bit tougher with more competition. The class is growing. You use 1 litre cars. Peugeot 107 is what Jason uses. What else, Jay?
It's a great way to start. It's an even playing field, because there's no modifications you can do to the car. So it's great fun. Like, even yesterday was a great example of the camaraderie that's between all the drivers in it. When we went off, Peter Beaton lended us a spare wishbone to get us out again. So, it's great.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? That you're competitors, but you're also helping each other out.
Absolutely. Funny enough, Rory Byrne, another competitor in our class, he went off. He went off as we were sitting out in the woods, and he'd been to Wishbone. He took our Wishbone.
Yeah.
When we got back in, we had no Wishbone, so Peter Beaton gave us his Wishbone. So there's great camaraderie between all the drivers in the class, and I think the best bit for me about the class is the cars are so evenly matched that it's all about driver, and that's the important thing, that it's all about driver, and that these guys from a young age learn how to drive right.
And Jason, I imagine you've been raised in this sport, so this is what you've dreamed of doing, and coming out here and winning is a bonus.
Exactly, yeah. I started at 14 just doing autocrosses, but I've been around rally since I could walk. So yeah, it was a great way when I got the chance 2 years ago to get into it. It was class.
And what are the aims? What are the ambitions for you?
No ambitions at the minute, really. Everyone wants to move up in the sport, but whether money allows it is not is a different story. But
well, keep winning, you're going to attract that money, surely.
Well, this is it.
Hopefully.
He's keeping his cards close to his chest, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at. Who knows what the next step will be, you know?
Yeah, well, it sounds like Jason is giving me the GAA players' answer of
Correct.
one game at a time.
Yeah.
But what is the next event? What is that one game?
Well, from last year we won a prize drive in an R2 Fiesta, so we hope to use that in the Lakelands Forestry in 3 weeks' time. So it'll be good to get a feel of a proper factory care, and I hope we don't get the bug and try and buy it after it. But sure, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you'll have to work pretty hard to get that, won't you? It's a balance for you at this stage, isn't it? Because you want to do this. I imagine this is your life, but ultimately you have to work and you have to fund that and you have to keep yourself going as well.
Exactly. Well, I'm lucky enough to have a job in the sport. I work with C Sport Rally Prep in Galway as a part-time job, and I learned a lot there, I suppose, about the mechanics of the car and the running of them. So it's benefited me in my rallying as well.
And that's good, Matthew, as well, because that job, it keeps you grounded, but it gives you an even deeper knowledge of a car and what it's all about than you would if you were just doing kind of one thing and concentrating only on one thing.
Absolutely, and it's great that Jason sees that, you know, all these cars have to be maintained and fixed if you do unfortunately hit them, and you know, it costs money to fix them. But Jason working directly in the sport, you know, a lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes, and it's not a case of the silver spoon was handed.
Yeah.
You know, arrive and drive. You know, it takes a lot of hard work.
It's 24/7, isn't it? It's not just weekends. It's not just pitching up in Cork.
It takes a dedication. It takes, you know, there's a fitness level that if you want to get on in the sport, that you have to take your fitness seriously. And you know, there's a lot of different aspects that a lot of people maybe just see car passing, driver driving, navigator navigating, but there's so much going on behind the scenes before the event even, you know.
Well, gentlemen, well done this weekend, and well done overall, actually, because you are the Junior 1000 Championship winners, the overall championship, not just at this weekend. So, Matthew and Jason Murphy from Mayo, good to see that there are some Mayo teams still winning this year in 2018. Of course, their under-20s are in the All-Ireland final next week, so I won't get too smart about it. But look, well done to the lads. They've had a fantastic weekend and they've had a fantastic year. This is the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. We're in Mallow this weekend. All the cars coming back into the service stations. Some of them smiling, some of them not. We'll get to the results very soon. We'll also show you a bit more action from around Mallow here. So stay with us. Welcome back to Mallow. It is the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's been an action-packed couple of days, and we've got more of the action from the course to come in a little while. But first, I'm joined by two of the guys who were in the thick of it out there over the weekend. Niall Turley from County Down and Marty Gallagher from County Donegal. Marty, how did you get on over the last couple of days?
It wasn't too bad. It was an eventful start to it. We went testing on Thursday night, and the engine let go. So on Friday evening we had to put an engine in it and then come down the road. So it was a miracle to get here and get started. But now we're happy enough over the course of days. We finished third in both legs. So
so pretty much the worst possible preparation, but not a bad finish. Is that how you sum up the weekend?
Yeah, it was more than expected. Now, come Thursday evening, we thought we'd be sitting at home this time in the evening, but no, we got an engine sorted and we're happy enough. So.
How about yourself, Niall? How'd you get on?
Yeah, I had a good weekend there. A bit of a problem with a shock. Steel plates broke on the bottom of the shocks they did. So thanks to RC Motorsport, they got me welded up and got me going again. It was the last stage on Saturday evening, so got it welded here this morning and out again. Happy enough.
Yeah. And your car is in the background here. People might be able to see it. We saw a little bit of action with your car earlier on. The smile kind of gives it away that you know yourself. It's not necessarily the best shot of your weekend. You're not exactly living your best life in this one. Let's have a wee look at Niall earlier on in one of the kind of tougher turns, shall we say, here in Mallow. Here we go. Oh, look, everyone was caught by it, Niall. Don't be hard on yourself. That's what I would say. Talk to me about that. Talk me through it.
Just probably pushing a little bit hard there, and down that tarmac stretch, I would say everybody's pushing down it. Just overshot it a little bit, but I recovered it all right. I had the power on, she was still sliding into it, so she was pulling out of it at the same time, so it was all right.
Yeah, that particular part of the course was quite tricky, wasn't it, Marty?
Yeah, it was now, and thankfully it was dry. Yeah. If it was wet, it'd be even worse. Gravel tyres have no grip at all in the dry, so or in the wet, they have no grip at all. But no, thankfully it was dry. But yeah, the tarmac's tricky now, gravel setup.
Look, even the great Eugene Donnelly had sympathy for some of the cars at that particular turn. So when he has sympathy and he says it's difficult, you know it's very, very, very difficult. Talk to me about the weekend overall, the couple of days that you've had in Mallow, because that's a big deal, isn't it? 2 days of rallying as opposed to one.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. For me, from County Down to come down to any of the rallies down here, it's 2 days hard work, that you're trying to get back up for work. So if you're coming down for 2 days, it means a lot, it's a lot better. So it is.
And Marty, from your point of view, 2 days, why is that better to you?
All the stages are very good this weekend, and it wasn't very compact, it was more relaxed than normal. And you're able to kind of space it out a wee bit. You weren't getting up very, very early and back late at night, so it's kind of more relaxed and it was more enjoyable this weekend with the 2 days,
And a lot of compliments about the course out there as well, and the job that has been done by the local club here, the club in Mallow.
Couldn't fault anything there over the weekend. Everything was brilliant. The services were handy. The park firmware was handy. The stages weren't that far out the road. Just brilliant stages. Definitely couldn't fault anything there this weekend at all.
Yeah, and the stages were challenging, but the drivers seemed to like them. I think that's the tone I'm getting from most of the drivers.
Yesterday was challenging. They're very kind of rough and bumpy yesterday, but today now they're very, very fast and flowing. And no, they're definitely good. And it's just they're big commitment to the stages. They're very, very fast. So no, they're good.
Yeah, rough and bumpy. That can be quite difficult. It throws its own challenge, doesn't it? Now.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, definitely does. I had a bit of an issue there in the last 2 stages. There, the headset wasn't working, so it was even more challenging.
You must think I'm picking on you. I'm not. I swear.
No. Well, that wasn't. I can't blame that. That was way earlier on in the day.
He thinks happen.
When the headset goes, when the communication goes, how difficult is that?
I was just watching him putting his fingers up and just going like that, and sort of just working my way through it, feeding through it. So.
Yeah. Look, it strikes me that no matter what way you prepare, something across the weekend or running up to the weekend will go wrong. That's just the nature of it. You have to accept that.
Yeah. If it's not for you, it's not going to happen. And no matter how much you can do to kind of prevent it, there's always going to be something happen. If you get a punch here or the engine going, there's always something going to happen. You can never prevent it. You never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and you just have to be prepared to deal with it because it will happen.
Yeah, as long as there's no accidents, as long as it's just a breakdown in the service or something like that and get it fixed and back out there, all right.
Not too major.
Yeah.
Well, you've got long trips back tonight, so I'll let you go soon. But what are the plans, Marty? I know you've got a very busy couple of weeks coming up.
Yeah, it's busy enough now. We're the Ulster Rally now in a couple of weeks' time up in Antrim. And then back to the Forestry, and then over to Isle of Man then for the rest of the British Championship. So September's a busy month. There's, I think, in 5 weeks we have 4 rallies, so it'll be a hectic month now.
And is that a good thing to be that busy, or would you like them spaced out a little bit more?
That's not too bad. Like, you're consistently in the car, you have better time in the seat. So, but yeah, it doesn't help with the cost. You have to start saving there for a long time for it. So, because like for Isle of Man, you're going to be off work for the full week. Like, so it's hard to pay for it. Like.
Yeah, the Isle of Man is just it's something special, isn't it?
Oh, it's unreal now. It's the atmosphere alone. Like, it's 3 long days and nice stages, the whole works. Like, the atmosphere over there is unreal compared to most rallies is good, like, but over there it's a step above the rest.
It's like the island is kind of built for it. It's kind of strange, isn't it? Niall, what about yourself? What's coming up?
Just 2 more at the end of the year if I can afford to do them. 2 more forests that are up in the north somewhere. I'm not bushwhacker, and another one up there somewhere. So just get them finished and I'd be happy enough.
Yeah, Fermanagh coming up in a couple of weeks as well. Marty Gallagher and Niall Turley, thanks very much for joining us here in Mallow. It is the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. We've got more action to show you coming up. We'll also tell you who won and who lost, although I think it's fair to say in an event like this, in some ways, there kind of are no losers because everyone tends to come here and enjoy it. Someone has to be on the podium. We will tell you who, and that's coming up very shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back to sunny Mallow for the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. We're getting to the closing stages now. We'll be showing you some of the action from the track in a wee while. And what a track it is as well. Every driver I've spoken to, every navigator I've spoken to, anyone who's connected with any of the teams, anyone who I've spoken to about the track has been really impressed with it. Eugene Donnelly was on with us a little bit earlier on. He was very impressed with it. Liam Brennan, of course, a local. He was very impressed with it. David Moynihan, full of praise for it. Of course, a Mallow man, but now living in Fermanagh. Let's talk to some more guests. I'm joined by George Crozier and David Condell. David, you were driving out there over the weekend in the Mark II Escort, and I think anyone who's been watching this over the last couple of hours knows how much we love the Mark IIs. How did you get on?
We got on well enough. We finished anyway in the one piece, and again, like what you're saying, 2 fantastic stages or 2 fantastic days of stages. couldn't compliment them enough. Brilliant surface and everything else, and really enjoyed the event. You know, it was a great event, and we got to finish and happy out.
George, you're involved in preparing the car for David. Talk to me about the preparation for an event like this and a course like this.
Well, for a course like this, you need a car, like special first car with proper setup and all. Of course, the stages and all, fast and gearing and all that, you know. It's the event, like, you know. This is just this first car, special car. It's different from the tarmac car, like it's different strokes, suspension and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
Braking and things like that, you know.
Yeah, and David, I guess as a driver, you couldn't do anything without people like George, and you kind of have to have a good relationship, a good working relationship.
Absolutely, yeah. George prepares. Like last weekend, we were on Tara and we won the rally outright, and this weekend we hope we would have set, you know, something similar of a finish event, you know, a good finish, but we didn't. We finished okay, but I would have been happy with a place or two higher, but it wasn't to be. So, but no, George prepares an absolutely impeccable car, as he says himself. You know, two different cars, two completely different driving styles. Everything is different. You know, you can't to get out if the two of them are parked here and get out of one and get into the other. They're two completely different cars, but set up to the last. You know, what I mean, just the proof is in the pudding. The car started yesterday morning, and I'd done all day yesterday, and I'd done all day today, and not one, everything perfect.
Yeah, and David, talk to me about the course out there, and I suppose some of the challenges and some of the things that I won't say you weren't expected, because you obviously do a lot of research, you do recce's, you get the notes and all that, but what was challenging about the course this weekend?
This weekend, 2 days, I suppose, of forest rally, which I've never done before. There wasn't really anything else different in the challenge, to be honest.
It's just the 2 days, isn't it? It's just more tiring on the mind, maybe.
Well, yeah, because you don't do recce. You get a DVD, and you know you look at the DVD, so you're trying to measure yourself to not try and take in too many stages. And it's not that you're driving on memory. Obviously, you're driving on notes, but to be clean and, you know, to have everything marked as best you can. You're only looking at a screen, you know what I mean, to make your notes. So. Yeah. That was the challenging part, you know, because as I said, 2 days you have to try and map yourself out to have just take in enough that does that day, like, you know.
And is the benefit of 2 days the fact that you can go out on day one and get used to it and get a feel of it, which you just don't really do, I imagine, from watching a DVD, and then on day two you have a bit more of a
you're
feel
more
of it.
match fit. Yeah, absolutely. It's like anything, you know what I mean. You're more match fit, so yeah, definitely, it's a big help.
Yeah. And George, what about that kind of change from day one to day two for you and getting the car ready? I might get you to talk up a bit, actually, because there's a car behind you. I think the engine is about to go on. Well,
right.
Talk to me about the differences there between day one and day two in preparing.
Basically, it's just that bit more pressure on, because you have to give the car after day one it's a rally, like, you know, and the car needs a lot of checking over and a lot of stuff to check and tightening. Like, we have some small problem like an alternator a day and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to keep on top of it, just, you know.
Yep. Well, the reason we've come to Mallow this weekend, gentlemen, is because we want to see these cars in action. You might be able to see one or two behind me as they head off, but let's have a look at them on the course, on the track, out in the forest here in Mallow at the Valvoline Championship. It's stage 10. Gentlemen, you might talk us through a little bit what we're seeing there, David. That's a pretty, well, from my point of view, a tough turn to take. From your point of view as an actual driver, is that a tough one?
Yeah, I remember that's I think either the last stage or the second last stage, and it was
stage 10. Yeah.
It you came downhill. In fairness, I think that's the junior class or the front wheel drive class. It's a completely different animal when you're coming like with 330 horsepower roaring at the corner, you know, trying to both get it stopped and then turned in. So, but it's very, very enjoyable. And I'd say, like, if there was a clip of any of the big two-wheel drive cars, you'd see the difference. You'd actually physically see the difference in the enjoyment. Now, in fairness, those guys are enjoying it too, and they have to start somewhere. But that's, you know, as you can see, the course is in very good condition, and yeah, as I said, it's a downhill section into a kind of a square or a 6 right. But
yeah, George, talk to me about getting the preparation for these cars and this type of car, right? What would you do? What would be the differences?
That front wheel drive car?
Yeah.
Well, it's a different type of setup for that car, because it's pulling on the front wheel, like, of course, you'd be setting it up different from an escort, like completely. With you'd have the different tracking and toe end and different suspension travel and camber and things like that.
Yeah.
The thing of turning in on the power, like so you'd be driving it really on the front instead of the
Yeah.
rear.
Yeah.
So it's pulling through the corner instead of pushing.
Yeah.
So there you be different style completely.
And is that a change of style that most drivers are comfortable with, David, or do you kind of settle on one and you prefer that and you maybe stick to that?
No, I've driven 4-wheel drive as well. Like I've never competed in front wheel drive, in fairness, but I have driven 4-wheel drive as well, and they are two different styles. But rear wheel drive is so enjoyable, in fairness to it. I know it's it's a big slide around the corner and whatever else, and that is that's a great feeling as that's in the car is it's in control, but it looks out of control, if you understand what I'm saying to you. But
yeah, well, that's the thing about it, isn't it? You're always kind of out of control, but you're always kind of in control, isn't it? It's a balance, isn't it?
That's exactly it, yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, and here we go, flying around, keeper between the ditches.
That's it. Now
and
we
they have. Yep. And that's the important thing. This stage 10 of the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship in Mallow, the Mallow section. This was kind of cutting up quite a lot. I imagine that's quite challenging.
Yeah, it was. It was as the bigger cars came through, they were, you can see there even that guy is starting to, get more wheel spin and whatever else. So yeah, he's cutting up the roads, as the saying goes.
Yeah, Martin Brady has joined us. Martin, you were a navigator out there today. Talk to me about this particular segment of the stage, this stage 10 here in Mallow.
Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Yeah, lovely stages today. I mean, Cork Forestry, it's an iconic event in forestry terms in this country. Always really enjoyable, always a good stage. This stage, myself, I know it quite well. I've been competing on this stage for, I guess we must be, certainly I did this rally. This is my first forestry rally back, I think, in 2003. And from then, we've been going into these stages. And this is Mount Hillary, I think, if I'm right. That's the long, fast section down, to a hairpin right. And then we go fast section down towards the finish, more hairpins. So, yeah, it's an iconic stage. I mean, in tarmac rallying, we all have stages that we remember and we know, but this is certainly one of them. But in general, Cork is such a good forestry event because, I mean, for this year we had 2 days, which was lovely to do, finish one night and know that you have another day's forestry to come. And when you're going into stages as good as this, it's always a treat and always enjoyable. And I mean, you can see from the footage there how well the stages stand up to the amount of cars we've put through it, and it's good enjoyable day.
Now, on this particular stage, there was a long straight into a square left and a bit of gravel as well. For safety reasons, we actually couldn't put a camera there. But talk to me about it, Martin, because you were out there and you experienced it. What was that like?
Well, there's a lot of long...
Just before this, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of long straights on this stage. That's the nature of the stage. It's very, very fast, long straights, broken up by slower speed corners. There's not many medium speed corners in this stage. You're either going or you're stopping for the most part. This one probably was not, in my opinion, the most difficult one to get stopped for. Just back up the hill from that, there's a hairpin left. It was like out over a crest. It was a 6-gear corner out over the crest, and you have 250 down to the hairpin. And that 250 came up really, really quickly today because dry, fast conditions. You're probably carrying more speed into it than you would have done any other year.
You seem to love this event. You're just back from America.
Yes, I do a lot of my competition in the US. Last weekend I was there. I did the main forestry rally in a Mark II Escort, but quite different to the Escort that George and the guys would have here. The rules in the US are a little bit freer, so what I was competing in was an old body shell and style Mark II Escort, but quite modern underneath. It's got a 3.7 or 3.6, a V6 anyway, modern Mustang Ford engine. I just look out the bonnet across it, but it makes a lot of noise. It's a modern 2017 engine, and the car, as I say, it's an Escort body shell, but it's been modified that it's more like the floor pan of, say, an Evo, that kind of thing, and we're running modern R4 suspension in it. It's quite a trick bit of kit, but it's so modified to such a level that it just wouldn't be applicable to the rules here, but out there it's quite unique, and we enjoy sitting in it and puts on a bit of a show.
We should be up next, I think.
Here we go. This is you, Martin, coming through.
No, it's
George.
George.
David.
Got the apex well there.
Plenty of wheel spin, yeah.
Nice.
No, it's good, yeah. Really, really good stages, in fairness.
mean, the exit of that corner is slippy. If you look on the outside of it, you can just see the puddle of water on the outside, which shows you that that just particular bit of road was a little bit muddy or holding a little bit of moisture. So it's going to be slippy on the way out there. It's just a change of surface, really. Only a slight change, but enough, as you can see, the wheel spin there to make a difference.
It's gas as the stage goes on. You can see the aggression coming into the drivers, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, with the reverse seating for the two-wheel drives, that's the way the tempo is going to go. You're starting with the slower guys and the lesser cars coming to the faster stuff. But it's interesting to see the difference there. You would have thought that your line was quite neat and tidy. You got the apex. There was no big side as you were carrying the speed. Whereas the front-wheel drive car, the 206, he washed out a bit. He kind of missed his apex. He was a little bit. You'd have to say he lost a bit of speed there because of that. Again, a late apex there. Your line was a bit cleaner.
That's the tarmac. So you'd be coming. You'd be getting that kind of different driving line, like from driving on tar, but like that'll just tell you how good that gravel rally is, like that you could actually.
Was that Nova sliding?
Oh, big style, yeah, the whole way.
Yeah.
But the surface of the stage is so good, like in fairness, that you can get all that you need to get done as the saying goes.
Yeah, we're seeing that for different cars, different issues are giving them different troubles. Had you any issues or troubles this weekend, gentlemen? Martin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, we had a bit of trouble today, actually. We had an issue with our master switch. So on these cars, there's an electrical breaker circuit for an emergency for fire, such like there's a button, you hit it in the dash and it kills everything straight away. So we had an issue. It started yesterday with us and we thought we had it fixed overnight, but the switch kept popping out.
Okay.
So we spent the last 3 stages where I would hold the notes with one hand and hold the master switch with the other, hold it in. So my hands sort of jammed in underneath the handbrake around in front of the gear stick so we could still change and holding the notes. But worked okay.
You love it though, don't you? You love kind of getting through rallies, having had an issue, because it's another challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get through it, and that's what you do.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah. And it's so enjoyable. In fairness, though, that I've only started doing gravel rallies in the last number of years, and it's I've really taken to it and really like it. In fairness.
Here's our event winner coming down now.
That man is no stranger to gravel.
That man is no stranger to gravel, no. He was competing. We were in the same event last weekend in the US, and Barry had some trouble there last weekend. He had a retirement on the first day with a broken wheel. So he's come to this one match fit, although it's quite different to competing on the east coast of the US and competing on the southwest corner of Ireland. But I suppose they're all 3 pedals on a steering wheel at the end of the day.
They are indeed. Which one is more enjoyable, or which one is more about the driver as opposed to the car between the States and here?
It depends. I mean, the nature of the stages in the States, that they're a lot of man-made roads. They're going into somewhere in a forest that's there for the reason of natural resources like gas or oil or something like that, or it's a planted forest for a particular reason. So the roads are designed for logging trucks. So they've got to be wide enough for 2 big, heavy, proper US spec trucks to meet. So the stages are quite fast. They're different in nature to here. Here is a more natural flow because you're going up and down the side of hills and through valleys and around, through a notch in a rocky outcrop, that kind of thing. So it's different. Every rally is different. They all have their own little unique things, and we just turn up and try and enjoy them. They're all corners at the end of the day.
David, have you ever tried the States?
No. I just as gas. I lived in Canada for 3 years, and exactly what you're saying. The roads are cut out naturally for all of those reasons. Logging or gas or oil or whatever, and the surface is so good. Like even when we used to be up with the pickup trucks, you couldn't help but just slide them around as you're driving up the road, and like you were completely illegal to be doing anything like that. So, but and I often said to myself, if I had my own car over there with me, the fun that you'd have, and there is you see Barry there, he's in the US and he's going very well, and then there's another guy in Canada, Trevor Harding, and he's living the dream too. So it's all good, like.
Yeah, well, we are at the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship in Mallow in Cork. This action from stage 10. David Condell and Martin Brady with us talking you through it. And this is interesting that some of them are taking it kind of wide and some taking it not so wide.
I think it just depends on how much speed you carry down into the corner, where you're braking and where your apex is going to be. I think David wins the award for finding the apex the best so far in anything I've seen. Anyway,
thanks very much. I'll take that one.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, the other thing about that corner is you come down to it, it looks quite straight and quite visible down into it, but there's a slight, we had in our notes, there's a slight kink going into it. If you're brave enough and you go deep enough, you can carry good speed down into it, but your line of sight is just slightly obscured coming down into it. So if you're anyway hesitant, you have the opportunity to be hesitant and lose a bit of speed there.
Yeah,
so
slide
it's,
wide.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing it, even the 4-wheel drive cars, yeah.
Yeah.
You just accept that that's going to happen, that slide, don't you? And you kind of work with it, do you?
Well, if you're going in too deep, yeah, you may. Make
Well, you have to accept it when you're in it.
Exactly, yeah.
But
if you can get, as Martin says, set up for the corner, it does work out well. Like
yeah, I couldn't possibly comment. I'm not a driver. I couldn't. I'm like you know the story with the dog chasing the bus.
Yeah.
And he catches it. He doesn't know what to do with it.
Listen, there's one
Put
thing
me
I've
in the
noticed.
seat of a rally car. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
There's one thing I've noticed from navigators this weekend is they're perfectly willing to comment.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's good. Yeah.
Here we go. A little bit slow out of it, but
I think the car that I'm in, I think we're within the next 2 cars or something like that. Yeah, this is one of our teammates again, one of the Dixon brothers. There was 2 of them here and their dad competing this weekend, but out of the 3 of them, the other 2 had mechanical problems. They weren't fit to finish, unfortunately, on this occasion. But and here we're coming now. So this is at the point, not that you can see it from the outside looking in, but I have my hand on the master switch just in front of the gear stick, holding it. So
my God, he took
an
extremely good line. Yeah.
I think we got. I mean, we have experience here to prepare for this rally. I knew this stage was identical to what we had done in 2011. So we had a good set of notes for this because you have the opportunity to watch your in-car from before and study it, and you can pick out the little mistakes you might have made or things you can change to the notes from before. So we had that advantage, and I've done, as I say, I've done this stage so many times since 2003, but I was lucky enough to do this rally in 2008 and win the rally, and this was one of the stages in it. So you just, it sticks out in your mind for those reasons, and I think that's why this is with good local knowledge of the stage, let's say.
Yeah. And this is a really enjoyable event, and what everyone has been saying, Martin, is that the fact that it's a 2-day event, that's what really makes it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I say, you go to bed last night, you've had a good day's rally, and you know that you're getting up to head into another one the following day. So it's good, and it's unusual in Ireland. Cork Forestry was traditionally the only rally that was ever 2 days on gravel here. So we're harking back to the good old days of when there was this event as the premier event of the championship from a distance point of view and all that,
Yeah, and a lot of people have travelled a long way to be here, and none of them have had any complaints about doing that. We just spoke to Marty and Niall, who were on their way back to Donegal and down, and they were saying they won't be back till after midnight, but they weren't complaining. They were delighted. We also spoke to Matthew Murphy and I forget his brother's name, but
Jason. Yes.
Jason, thank you very much. Yeah, they won the Junior 1000s championship, the overall championship. They're heading back to Mayo, and they're delighted with themselves. Martin, just before I let you go, what's up next for you? What's coming in the next while?
I've got we've a bit of test. We've with another driver that I work with. We had a little bit of an accident in Donegal, and it's taken some time to fix the car. So we're going to do some testing on Friday, and the car's back and righted and ready. Small event on Saturday in Northern Ireland to get ready for the next round of what's the National Tarmac Series here next weekend. And then we'll see what's next. I work 1 week at a time,
Yeah. Martin, thank you very much.
Thank you
well
very
done on this weekend. A fantastic event down here in Mallow, the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. We're getting to the stage now. We're about to announce the winners. We're about to show you some more action. I've just been slipped a piece of paper with the winners on it, and if I can read the producer's writing, and there's no guarantee of that, I'll share those winners with you now. So in the 2-wheel drive class, Shane McGurr and Lee McIntyre were the winners there, so well done to them. In the event overall, the big one over the weekend, in third place, Andrew and Mark Wiley. In second place, Josh Moffat and Stephen Thornton, his navigator. And in first place, the man standing beside me right now, he's come back from New York to compete. He's travelled a long way to be here, and it has been worth it. Barry McKenna, and of course your navigator is Leon Jordan. First of all, Barry, well done. Congratulations to you. Talk to me about the win. How are you feeling?
Oh, feeling fantastic. Yeah, it was good to get it. It was a tight battle all weekend. Great to be out battling with the guys, but yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was tough.
And it was close all the way, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Josh and Andrew didn't leave it easy all weekend. It was, but it was just fantastic. Definitely the most enjoyable rally I've done so far.
Yeah, and talk to me about the event overall. Run me through your weekend, because as we say, it was close, it was exciting, it was good.
Yeah, it started out yesterday. It was seconds the whole way. We'd take a few seconds, they'd take a few seconds back, and it went that way going into yesterday evening for the championship. It was rated. It was yesterday it's classified as 1 day, and today was another day. So we went in on the last stage on, I think we were 1.7 seconds behind Andrew for the win, and Andrew went in and drove fantastic, and he got the win yesterday, and today then we went in. We still had I think about a 13-second lead. We were still 1.7 behind Andrew, but we managed to get that back, and then we had a 13-second lead over Josh, but Josh beat us by maybe 2 seconds, but it was enough for him to win the championship today.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic though. We got the overall win, and the two boys got both days points for the championship.
Yeah, talk to me about the intensity of the weekend, because I guess it wears on your mind. Even when you're not in the car, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about what might go right and what might go wrong, and what the others might do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But sure, it's just anything could happen. You know, you're going in. Everything is on the limit. You could get a puncher. You could lose 2 minutes. You know, with that, you could spin wide. You could go off. Like it's just then. You know, it's intense the whole way, but you kind of got to get that to the back of your mind, or you mightn't finish.
Yeah. Did you have any bumps to get over this weekend? Was there anything that kind of went wrong that you had to recover from, or were you very, very lucky?
No, it was just the standard stuff. Nothing, no big scary moments, but you know, it wouldn't have been far away.
And how did you avoid it? Did you see it coming? Were you prepped?
Yeah, listen, it's the rallying's probably about 90% luck, so we had it this weekend.
Yeah, as we say, it's a 2-day event, and Martin Brady, who was just talking to us there, said that's what really, really makes it. Would you agree with that, and if so, why?
Oh, absolutely. You know, well, we're travelling from the US, so it's definitely for us to come back and get two championship rounds in one weekend is, you know, it's great for us that way. But you know, it adds a lot more to it. You know, there's a bit of crack between the night between the 2 days, so it's a bit more involved to it, and it's better for everybody, I think.
That's a massive undertaking for you to come back from the States, and it shows, I guess, your drive and your will to succeed.
Yes, listen, everybody here is the same. You know, rallying is you know, a lot of people go out to get here. You know, it's the community that we're in. Everybody, you know, it took the same for some guys coming from Monaghan or anywhere in Ireland this weekend to get here as well as for me to get here. So, you know, it's all about putting it together.
You'd probably get back to New York quicker than Marty and I will get back to Down in Donegal. We spoke to them earlier on. If you look behind us, you can see it's kind of emptying out now at the moment. The stages are done. We're going to show you some more action, but we are with the overall winner, Barry McKenna. Barry, talk to me about the track and the course out there, because everyone has been complimenting it. Everyone has said that the local motorsport here, a local motorsport club, have done a fantastic job.
Yeah, the stages were faultless. It was well maintained, and I suppose the bit of rain that they got before it and during a bit of yesterday helped keep the dust down and make it even for the guys. You know, down the field a bit, but it's you know, where the dust would just get too much. But no, the stages were fantastic. It was well run. There was very few delays, if any. And it was really, really, really put together well.
Yeah. Well, Barry, while you're in a good mood, I'll ask you for some more of your time. You might have a look at stage 11 with us here. We're about to pop it up and have a look. So, this is stage 11. Talk us through what you're seeing.
That could be one of the juniors there, but yeah, that's a fantastic stage. Very fast section down through there. We didn't leave any time in there, we don't think.
Yeah, we're kind of having a look at a cross section of the events here, not just your own, but that's beautiful. It's a beautiful setting.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, that was the nature of that stage the whole way through. There was the way it looked there. It was like that 90% of the time.
Yeah. Again, I'm very conscious that many people watching this may not necessarily follow rallying week to week. So talk to me about the challenges of this particular segment and this particular stage.
That stage was long. It was 15 kilometres. It's you know, you have to be at it from the start, and just to maintain, you know, your speed going through it. It does take a lot of concentration. There's nothing you can, if you think you're going too slow, you probably are going too slow on it. So you have to go fast from the start, and you have to keep that going for 15 kilometres. It's that there's probably midpoint actually in that stage too.
Yeah. Talk to me about your own car and how it handles that kind of stage.
Yeah, listen, it's a 4-wheel drive car there, 2-wheel drive car there, so it'd be a little bit, you know, for me it suits me more. And cars take a little bit more driving, but no, it's you know, it's it's fantastic. You know, the cars are fantastic these days.
Yeah. That's a fair hill to be pulling up, and a bit of looseness in the surface, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll move up to the four-wheel drive stuff in a little bit of a while, but these are the two-wheel drivers coming in. Barry, what are the plans for yourself now for the next couple of weeks, couple of months? Are you going to be back for Fermanagh, or how do you work it? How do you plan it?
Yeah, we'll be. No, we're doing the full. We're committing to the full championship this year, so back for the Lakelands next, and yeah, so we'll be back there and then go to the Bushwhacker after that.
Yeah, like talk to me about how much planning and preparation you do per individual event. I appreciate that you only get the recce DVDs a week before, but
yeah, but that's
outside of that.
Yeah, no, it's just that's about it. You know, wait for the week before it and then just start studying after that. Yeah,
and that's important, I guess, as well, like, because it gives you a break as well. Because rallying, as we've said, it's pretty intense. It wears you down mentally.
Oh yeah, it's great. You know, it's the best with the Irish forestry stuff. You know, there is no recce, which is kind of a plus because it's a day or 2 days away less that we need from work, and you know, it just makes it that bit easier for us to come back. You know, everybody's on a level playing field. We all get the DVD, we all buy the notes. You know, so it's unless you're over the stages the year before, you might have an advantage, but that way, but you know, you put in the work a couple of days before it and then come back and hopefully it all clicks together.
I know you like to go fast, so let's have a look at some of the action that Barry was involved in from stage 11 here in Mallow.
Yeah, that was just Andrew going by there.
Here we go, gone in a dust ball.
Yeah. That's us there.
Going fast. Does it feel as fast as it looks, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. Kind of does. We've kind of got used to it now.
Kind of sums it up. I appreciate
the man we were battling with all day as well.
And you can see the difference between these four wheels and the previous set that we saw.
Yeah. No, the speed is it's a lot.
Frightening looking.
Yeah, it's good, but it feels a lot better when you're actually in the car.
Yeah. And you feel, I was going to say in control. Of course you're in control.
Yeah. Well, sometimes.
And those gaps between cars, a lot of the drivers have been talking about how well they manage it in this particular race.
Yeah, the seeding, you know, it was well done. You know, I don't think anybody was catching anybody this weekend, and in the forest they do a 1 minute window here, so it leaves it better. You know, just in case something does go wrong, you have a bit of time to get back and warn someone. But yeah, as you can see there, the commitment's a lot in that.
Yeah. They're so controlled, even though there's a turn and a hill, it makes it awkward. It's a lot more difficult than it looks, I imagine.
Yeah, listen, they're controlled there, but you could easily come down and get the loose gravel on the edge of the road, and it mightn't be in control from that on in.
There were some segments that were spectacular, but due to safety reasons we actually couldn't put a camera there, but this is one of the spectacular ones we could put a camera at.
Yeah, it was definitely a good section.
You hear them before you see them. It's a beautiful sound. Is it a sound that you ever get sick of, Barry?
Nope.
No.
You couldn't get sick of that.
I'm not surprised. A busy couple of weeks coming up, as you've mentioned.
Yeah.
The Bushwhacker, and going to stay around. You're going to stay around in Ireland for that, or are you going to go over and back?
If they get back now, you'll have to cut you short because if they get to Dublin for a flight in the morning, so.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
When I'm heading back to Dublin, I'll give you a lift. I'll drop you to the airport. There we go. Well, listen, well done, Barry McKenna. Congratulations on your win this weekend. Barry McKenna, of course, the winner of the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship segment here in Mallow. We've got some results coming into us literally as I speak. And again, I'm going off handwriting here, so you'll have to forgive me if it's not exactly 100%, but you will be able to get all these results if you go to the Twitter feed and the Facebook and, of course, the website. Barry literally has to run off because he's catching a flight, and congratulations to him. So, event results, I'll run through them. as I have them. Again, if the handwriting isn't quite clear, you will be able to get them via Twitter. There's me completely abdicating responsibility. I'd never make a navigator or a driver, would I? The Class 2 winners were Graham Kelly and Dean Kelly in the Citroen. The Class 4 winners were Niall Devine or Devine, depending on what part of the country you're from, and Kieran McGrath in a Mitsubishi. The Class 5 was Nathan McCourt and Barry McNulty. They were the winners there in Class 5. In Class 9, Dean Humphrey and Nigel Brennan were the winners there. In Class 10, Tom Murphy and Liam Dennehy in the Mark II. Class 11, Paul Fitzgerald and Marty McGarrahy, and again in a Mark II. Class 11F, Stuart and Johnny. Again, handwriting isn't great there. I knew this would be a bit of an issue. Class 12, Mikey Walsh and Killian O'Sullivan in the Escort. Class 13, Damien McGahan and Michaela McGinn in the BMW. Class 14, Shane and Liam McIntyre. Shane McGinn and Liam McIntyre in the BMW. Class 14, Shane McGurr and Liam McIntyre. Class 15, John Reid and Enda Shields in the Toyota Corolla. Class 16, Jordan and Paul in the Opel. And again, on the second names, the handwriting quite simply is appalling. I'm going to have to go back to school, whoever wrote this. Class 20, Vivian Hamill and Andrew Green in the Fiesta. And Class 21, Peter and Connor Boylan in the Peugeot 107. So that's the list of winners. They will appear on the Twitter feed. They will be on the website, so you will be able to get a more detailed run through of that if you go to the website. Right, we've got more action to bring you. We've got more guests to talk to here in Mallow at the Irish Forest Rally Championship weekend here in Cork. It's been a great weekend, 2 days of rallying action. All the drivers have loved it, all the navigators have loved it, and we're going to talk to some more of them when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Mallow. I've got Andrew and Derek Mackerel with me. We are, of course, here at the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship. It's all wrapped up now. We'll be bringing you through the best of the action from Stage 12 momentarily. But first, let's have a chat with Andrew and Derek. And, of course, Andrew, you were the first ever winner of the Forestry Championship. So this is special for you, isn't it, coming back to an event like this?
That's right, that's right. Love this country, this area, these stages, great stages. Good driving stages there.
Yeah. And Derek, you won't have seen it because you were in the car at the time. You were getting very high praise from Eugene Donnelly earlier on, and that must be quite pleasing for you.
Yeah, it's definitely pleasing, from my point of view, where I'm coming from and what I have and all the machinery around us. It's definitely a good feeling to be able to put it there and put it up there.
Talk to me about your weekend. How did it go?
Yeah, it was overall it probably wasn't the greatest of weekends, but with good enjoyment through the weekend, and we put up some great times. So did in different aspects, but the car stopped on us in stage 5, so we lost a bit of time there. But after that, we just picked it up and kept going and see how we got on. It was a good weekend and good stages,
Yeah, and that just is something you have to get over, isn't it? When a car does that,
that's rallying. That's the way it is. Like there's nothing really you can do about it. Only pick it up and keep going on.
Yeah, and that's a very common theme of the drivers who've spoken to us this weekend. Whether they've got a result they're happy with, or whether or not they've got a result they're sad with, they all say we've had issues, but that's rallying. Andrew, talk to me about what we're seeing here. This is from stage 12. This is the final stage. And like all the other stages, looks absolutely spectacular. But what's it like to actually drive? What are you noticing when you look at it there?
Yeah, the stages are in first class condition. Like you can see them there. They've already had that's the second pass over them, and they're in good top class order. Like in all stages down here, they seem to have great surface on them and really enjoyable to drive. And you can push on hard. Like, and good to see them young juniors there coming on, like in those cars there, you know. And the thing can only get better and better.
Yeah, and Derek, what about yourself? You were out there. What was it like?
Yeah, top class stages. You know, there wasn't one rut at all in any of the stages, and you know, you take Forest. A lot of people think they're very rough and very bumpy with that, but when you get the suspension right, you know, you're very easy to drive, and you can get away with things that's unbelievable. You know, big massive slides and laugh about it, so you can, you know, and have fun. So this is all about having fun, you know, and they're definitely the place to have fun.
Andrew, does he see the funny side, or is he only messing now that he's on TV?
Look at how he's it all just, you can read him like a book at the end of the stage. Hey, if there's a big smile, everything's went well, and if there's a bit of a scowl, then you know, right, there's been a bit of a drama. But yeah, most of the time now it's all good.
Yeah, and of course these the I suppose lesser powered cars, as you might put them, but still going through at a pace, still with a difficult job, Derek, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like each one of them people is definitely coming off with a smile on their face. You know, they're saying, "Oh, I had a slide here and a slide there and whatnot," you know, and had a good stage or whatever. You know, so you know it's an enjoyable sort of thing. So it is, and we get a great thrill to go driving at the speed. Like,
yeah, well, you wouldn't do it unless you enjoyed it, and you quite clearly did over the weekend.
Yeah, oh no, it definitely was good.
Talk to me about this particular turn, because again, I'm conscious that it doesn't look that difficult, but out there, I imagine it is, because there's a bit of chipping out there, isn't it? You know, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, that corner, if I do remember, it was a fairly tricky corner because it was a fast entrance into it, and it just tightened in at the very end. And there's logs there on the inside, so there's a don't cut on it as well. So you just have to be very careful.
And a bit of gravel as well, just to throw it into the mix.
Yeah, you just touch. If you go off the line a wee bit, you know, it's a big slide you kind of have, and there's no room for kind of error there at all.
Yeah. Andrew, when you won this championship all those years ago, was it 25 years ago?
Yeah, and more.
And more. Okay, you look younger than you are. You know, what were the challenges then? Is it still the same challenges?
Sure. Look at how. Yeah, even everybody thinks the people before them didn't go as hard as they did. You know, and I thought it to the people before me. You know, but. Sure, there's not much difference in people. They're all driving to the limit of the car, you know, and it's just the suspensions and the brakes and everything has moved on a pace. It's unreal how, you know, they level out the bumps and suspensions nowadays, where what we had years ago, you know, you would feel every bump and you'd be jumping and all over the place, you know. But the driving ability is the same the whole way through. It's just you have to drive with whatever machinery you have at your toe. But the speeds has increased so much. Like, you know, there's young Maguire there, isn't it? And
Dean Humphreys.
Humphreys, like, and, you know, these lads is on the limit, like, so there, you know. But so back in our day, there was lads on the limit as well, like, you know. But just thing moves on and technology moves on, the suspensions, and unfortunately the price increases too. So that's the way of it. Like, look at there's a man on the mission there. Like,
look at that. Derek, have you ever had a go in some of your dad's older cars, and what do you think?
Yeah, those fellas Evos I have there recently enough. And, you know, it's a fine car, so it is, and you can, you know, it's a comfortable sort of car to drive, and we don't have the Nova anymore, so.
Unfortunately, we didn't keep all our old cars. You sell them on and you buy another one, and that's it. And then
there's no sentimentality.
Yeah, well, not at the time. You never think that you're going to be looking at it 20 years down the time and saying, I should have held on to that car or should have kept that car, you know. But so that's the way of everything, like, isn't it?
This is stage 12, of course. This is the last chance to make up time lost.
Yeah, well, some of the people will be be on a close battle so well, but for whatever class positions are. Most of the people there has already got their stage of the class. They can't go any quicker or can't go any slower. So it is.
The last stage is always. It's all what I always like doing the last stage. You give it an extra bit of a go because this is your last chance to get a run.
You just find it from somewhere, don't you?
It's enjoyable. Like, and you just find that last wee thing because this is the last one you're going to be doing of the day. That's young. Is that Rory? Rory Maguire, like a good quick driver there. Now. His car, he had trouble with his carburetors there all weekend in the latter part, and that's the way the thing goes, So it is. Sure, look at it. It's good to be at it.
And when you're in the kind of the heat of it on stage 12, can that actually be a bad thing when you're trying to drive it on and trying to make up the time?
There's no such thing. No, there's no such thing.
No?
It's all good. It's absolutely all good. There's no such thing. The only thing is bad if you're looking into the hedge. It's all good.
Still on the road.
Yeah, if you go off the road, especially near the end, there's a sinking pit in your stomach. Or if you hit trouble, But no, it's all good. So it is.
Derek, do you feel a pressure on stage 12, or do you try and just think of it as another stage?
Coming next year. Next year.
This is Derek coming
here. Talk us through it. What are you thinking right now?
I'm trying to nip the apex, so I'm not going to drift out wide. So I'm watching for the low cut.
He handled it well,
That's
didn't he?
Oh, look at how he's good at it now. So he is.
And what's it like when you're out there watching him? Is it?
I can't watch him at all. No. I'd be waiting beside the phone and hoping it doesn't ring. No. There's no watching. There's absolutely no watching.
And Derek, what was it like for you to watch your dad?
Sure. I never done that too much. And it was. I think the last time I was watching the Forest was back in 04, 05 and something like that. So.
Did you ever navigate for each other, or would that just be too much?
Yeah, he has sat with me in a small rally or two now, but no, I don't sit with anyone. I couldn't even sit with you to that gate.
Yeah, well, you've obviously heard my reputation. 4 driving tests later, I eventually passed. I assure you, eventually.
No, I couldn't sit with anyone. So if I'm going anywhere, I'm the driver, and that's it.
Well, you know what? That's understandable. It's hard. How about you, Derek? Are you happy enough to sit back and let someone else drive?
Don't really mind at this stage. It's one of the things you don't find after you're sitting with someone. You can push on a little bit there, or geez, you're going too quick into that corner. But it's always nice, like.
It's your top cars now, so
you can see it by the amount of dust raised.
Yeah. Look at the speed they're carrying around the corner, and so those cars are like the suspension setup and the diffs and the wheels, and they're all working together.
Is that like another world driving one of those?
Totally different world. So it is. Yeah.
Derek, you must be absolutely gunning to get into one of these things.
You're always trying to glitch to get there. Like, see, it's drive one of those and have it on the limit would be a great feeling. Like, so it would. It's just a matter of getting all together for it.
Have to keep doing the lottery, or maybe start doing the lottery.
The stage 12 of the Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship here in Mallow, in Cork. And these are the top guys and girls.
Yeah, you're straight into your Group N cars now, the Evos, so the top winners just went past now, and you're.
If you're top 10, so you have basically in the overalls coming now.
We had Barry in a few minutes ago, and he was saying that he's just absolutely dedicated to this. Wouldn't dream of not coming to Cork for this weekend. Back in a couple of weeks. He's flying off to Dublin now to jet back.
Another good Monaghan man.
Yeah.
Monaghan's a home of rallying at the minute.
And football.
What's that?
if it doesn't involve a steering wheel, no. We don't know anything about it.
Like, by all accounts, Andrew Purcell and Barry had a great battle across the 2 days. I appreciate, Derek, you're kind of stuck into your own thing, but do you keep an eye out? Do you try and get out and watch, or?
You're always kind of watching your own battles and what way is going on. You do see what's happening behind you or in front of you, because you'd be sitting at the start of the stage and you'd be talking to a couple of guys see what's going on kind of around you. Like, we all talk about the stage. Like, if there's a tricky spot in the stage, you know, we'll talk about it and say, oh, just remember that's a tricky spot, or watch this corner. Like, it's just for all of our own peace of mind. Like, we're all kind of big family, so are together.
And Andrew, when you're out there driving, is one of the downsides is that you actually don't get to see a whole pile of action, except for obviously.
Oh, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't watch. No. You see, don't say. Funny, if you're going to do a rally, you're doing a rally. You're not going to watch.
You're not watching it
no,
at all.
Not interested.
And do you enjoy it now that maybe you do get to watch it?
I would. I don't know.
Oh, back left gone. Oh.
Yeah, flat tire.
That's just unlucky.
Yeah, running out of time and a man behind catching him. So that's the joys of it.
That's Turley, unfortunately. Yeah, he was in with us earlier on talking about it. Oh, that's him catching. Sorry, yeah.
That's just the way it goes now. You get a flat and that's it. 3 wheels on my wagon. Yeah, it's. I wouldn't go to watching too many now, but once you're involved in either servicing or working at a rally, or even helping organise rallies or marshalling, you know, like we do all of that, so we do. So you have to get involved, you know.
You don't just do it, do you? You live it.
No, you have to live it. You have to, and you have to help out, like, you know, because it takes a lot of manpower to run an event like this. It takes a lot of marshals, and it's all voluntary. And you know, they don't get enough of praise for the work they do, you know.
So there we go.
So every car is as good as the rest there, and they're all equally
matched.
Yeah.
They're all equal. It's just a matter of what runs for you and what doesn't on a weekend.
Yeah. You'll have people that has that little edge, that have that wee bit of extra driving ability over, you know. But that's the name of the game. Like the same as sports in your football. Whenever someone has that wee bit, that'd be something special.
Yep. So this is stage 12. Again, you'll be able to check out this in a bit more detail on the website and on Twitter, of course, as well. And this one of the last shots we see from stage 12.
The sweeper. That's it all over.
There we go. The sweeper ending at so much talk about sweepers in various sports, including rallying, as we just saw there. The Valvoline Irish Forest Rally Championship this weekend. It's been absolutely phenomenal. We've had a great time here in Cork. The 2-day event, and that's what has really made it, I guess, guys. Everyone talking about it being a 2-day event.
Yeah. A big weekend for rallying, for forest rallying. Big weekend. There's no other forest rally that runs in Ireland for 2 days. Like it's brilliant. So it is.
Yeah, well, 2 days and 2 generations enjoying it. Andrew and Derek Mackerel, thanks for joining us here in Mallow. The sun is coming out for the end of the weekend. The sun has shone on rallying, I guess, forest rallying in Mallow this weekend. We're going to leave you with some of the best of the action and some shots of the celebrations of a fantastic celebration of forest rallying here in Cork over the weekend. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Come on.